Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live. I got the Italiano with me today. It's another episode of Ask Us Anything, whether you want to talk theme parks, studio, nerd culture, music, whatever you want to discuss. It is a blank canvas, and the fans can paint with it. You're going to guide the conversation on today's episode of OG55 Live. OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to this episode of OG55. We are taking all your questions on this Ask Us Anything live show. So if you have any questions for us, make sure you leave it in the comments, and we will try to get to all of them today. George, the Italiano, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back on, and it's always a good time. It's always a great time to have a live show. It's been a while since we did our original juicy Orange Grove 55 Ask Us Anything live, so it's glad to be back doing one of our regulars.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think even Chewy agrees, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is, Mr. Sticky Icky, making it look so dang easy. There we go. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and dive in. But now, before I get to the questions that were posted today, we actually have a few super chats that I want to get through first and foremost, because those were actually sent in on previous videos that were not live. So I want to give the opportunity to read them on a live show and kind of address them and talk about them. So let's rock and roll, George. Here we go. Hold on 1 minute, please. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the first one, Mr. Seymour Duck. And if you're a fan of OG55, you know who Mr. Seymour Duck is. Collaborator, contributor, friend of the channel, 1000%. We love Mr. Duck. He sent in a super chat the other day for the food. He sent in a $2 donation. Thank you, Seymour, so much, brother, for your, honestly, for your friendship, for what you do for the channel, just everything. We absolutely love Seymour, so 1000%. George, any comments on Mr. Duck?
How can you not love Seymour? It's like he's such a lovable kind of guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. Absolutely. Thank you again, Seymour. We do appreciate you, brother. And Lucas Kim comes in with a $20 super chat. Lucas, thank you so much for your generous donation to the channel. We really do appreciate that. And I've been talking to Lucas on Twitter and stuff lately. He's a great guy and really interesting perspective on Disney and all that. So again, Lucas, thank you so much. But he goes on here to say, I do believe that the new movies and live action ones these days, and we're talking about Disney in particular, are not happening because producers are afraid that they might offend or be disliked by some audiences. They need to get back to taking chances and risks like they did before. 1000%, Lucas. Disney needs to get back to taking risks. Okay, the live action remakes is the antithesis of risk taking, right? I mean, it really is. It's taking a successful movie and let's go ahead and remake it. You know, it's lazy, it's creative laziness, and it's super safe, but for the most part. Yeah, let's get back to making original, especially like live action Disney movies. We talked about it the other day with the Girly Nerd, about how in the 90s we got a lot of original stuff with the Mighty Ducks and things like that. Like, why can't we get back to those kind of movies? And you can do those kind of movies like a Mighty Ducks or a Kid in King Arthur's Court or these kind of fun Disney movies or like a Hocus Pocus without breaking the bank, right? And that's where Disney's at right now, where they're trying to be a little bit more budget conscious. So let's get some originality back into this stuff. It doesn't have to be super expensive to make these movies. And let's get off these kind of creatively lazy live action remakes that I think most people are kind of tired of. What are your thoughts on this, George?
Yeah, absolutely. I echo your statements perfectly. And again, yeah, we did touch this points across with Girly Nerd. For anyone who hasn't seen that episode, definitely check that out. It was a very interesting conversation, and like not even the 90s, but even just Disney films in general. I love the originality that they brought, where it was, you could have a Disney movie, but it didn't also have to be that kind of sugar coated Candy Crush kind of Disney-fied quality movie. They had some movies that were kind of a little bit risque, kind of subtlety with the jokes, a little bit of like a little bit of a higher end of a PG kind of vibe, but it still fit the Disney vibe, and it's like I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. 1000% agree. Lucasfilm. I'm so sorry. Lucas Kim with a $10 donation again. Thank you again, Lucas. Really generous. We were humbled by the support. Thank you so much, sir. He goes on to say, Disney movies from before times had many risks. It's like businesses. You need to take risks, and if it doesn't work, then you can fix it. And that's the issue with the MCU, Star Wars, and other Disney movies. 100%. You got to take risks, because when you take a risk, yeah, it's a risk. You might lose money, Disney. But when you take that risk and you take that jump, the reward, though, the bag of money on the other end is potentially way bigger. You know what I'm saying? Look, they took a risk with Frozen. There was no guarantee that movie was going to do well. There wasn't really with Frozen. There wasn't really a whole lot of buzz leading up to that movie. There really wasn't. I remember seeing fans complaining, "Where's the trailer? We haven't heard seen any marketing from Disney for this movie." Disney drops that movie. It became a juggernaut, a cultural reset. Okay, this movie changed everything. Frozen was a phenomenon. So you won't have another Frozen Disney if you don't take those risks. You know what I'm saying? You got to take the risks. You got to be bold. And with those risks, you might have some failures, and that's okay. But you still got to take those risks, because if you succeed in those risks, the money at the other end is way more than anything you can make on a safe movie. But what do you think, George?
I do think Disney eventually, which I hope that they will start taking more risk. I think right now they're in a position that they kind of have to get themselves out of a rut, especially when it comes to film in the studios portion of the company. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of sequels, primarily sequels based off of already successful films that were already previous made, such as the Frozen franchise, Zootopia, Toy Story, Moana. So they're going to kind of stick to that route for right now, so they can kind of get themselves, for what I believe in anyway, they kind of get themselves out of the rut that they're in, and then eventually they can go back to taking more risks with more original material.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's the game plan, right? You're gonna have the Frozen 3, the Frozen 4, the Toy Story 5, or all this stuff, and once they kind of get back on their feet, hopefully they start to do the more original stuff and start taking those risks again. Because you're right, though. Right now, you kind of have to kind of play it a little safe just right now during this economic time, externally and internally. You know what I'm saying? Because Disney also needs to kind of rebound since the pandemic, and there was a lot of stuff going on with Disney. So you want to play it a little safe, but you don't want to continue that safeness for too long. You do want to bounce back into some originality eventually. And I think they will. But Lucas Kim here with a $20 super chat. Again, thank you, Lucas. We do appreciate you, sir. He said, even if not written by him. Now, Lucas is referring to the support by George Lucas for for Bob Iger and the current board. Okay. George Lucas, for those of you not aware, through his support behind Bob Iger and the current board recently, very publicly, with a letter. And we were talking about that the other day on our Pelts video. So he says here, even if not written by him, George probably had public relations write for him and how he supports Iger and Disney. He's a shareholder. No one wants an activist mess with their investments, 1,000%. That's why I was saying, like, when people were analyzing this stuff, where they were like nitpicking the words, well, Lucas wouldn't say this, and he wouldn't use that word, and he wouldn't say this word, and this the way it was worded. It's irrelevant, you know. It doesn't matter. Like, successful people, these bigwigs like George Lucas, Bob Iger, whoever it is, name a bigwig, okay? They usually have a publicist write their statements. So it's like I don't understand the whole like gotcha moment. Like, oh, it doesn't sound like it was written by Lucas. You know what? It probably wasn't. And who cares? He still supports bombing the board at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter. What are your thoughts on that, George?
And even if he did, just to say hypothetically, write that statement, he said a lot more spicy stuff in the past than that. If that's what you really consider as far as like being like spicy, where he's making the comments of, you can't leave. How did he quote it? About amateurs.
Oh, you can't leave creating magic to
creating
amateurs.
Magic for amateurs. That it's like he's telling the truth. It basically, it's still his opinion, and people could have differences of opinion on that statement. But as I said, he said way more spicier stuff in the past than what he's saying now. This is mild compared to some of the stuff he said.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying in the video we did the other day, where it's like, I don't understand. I saw a lot of people on social media, talking about the George Lucas stuff and saying how this is out of character for him to kind of dive into like controversial topics. I'm like, is it though? I mean, this is a guy who is kind of, he's fought back against his own fandom, very critical of the fans, I mean, whether it be the special editions that he did, or the prequels or whatever. He was very vocal about that stuff. He would insert politics into all kinds of stuff. The original trilogy, America was basically the evil empire against Vietnam. I mean, and he says it. It's not like it's some like hush hush little secret. George Lucas was out there saying this in interviews. You know what I'm saying? On camera. The guy he's not like this shy little wallflower. The guy is not afraid to get controversial. Apparently. He wasn't afraid to get controversial this time. I think the proxy battle, comparative to some of the other stuff he's said in the past, is kind of mild, to be honest with you. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. T.S. Wade, I hope the shareholders don't attack Bob Iger at the shareholders meeting like what happened last year. You know what, Wade? They probably will. And I'll tell you why. This is a very contentious meeting. There's a lot of emotions. Emotions are running high with this. It is. With the whole proxy battle and all that stuff. Iger's going to get some heat on this one. He absolutely will get some heat on this one. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to get a little pushback. You don't want to have a bunch of like softball stuff thrown his way. You want him to be able to, sweat a little bit and answer some questions. I see nothing wrong with that, and that should be welcome. But what do you think about this, George, in terms of like the shareholders kind of coming after Bob?
Yeah, and if Bob wants to take any kind of critiques from us, just swing your bat. It's like,
yeah, batter up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely am anticipating. Yeah, it's going to be. I don't want to say a bloodbath, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of hard-hitting questions, because this is basically, the tip of the iceberg to kind of see what direction, moving forward, the company is going at, and people are going to want to know, and it's like they want to know for sure, are they making the right decision by voting Bob Iger and the current board that still stands, or is it better to invest in these in Peltz and Rizzullo, so it's like whether or not, you agree with us, disagree with us, have opposite of opinion. It's especially these big time shareholders, they're gonna push through and through, whether it's for the good or the bad.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Bad Thoughts Studio, friend of the channel, Tones, thank you so much for joining us, you sexy guy, you. Oh, what happened over there? Okay, so Tones here. Tones is asking, what are your thoughts on the Dragon Ball Z theme park in Saudi Arabia? Okay, for those of you that are not aware, this thing, I actually have some imagery here for this. This is kind of dope, actually. This is what Tones is talking about right here. So there's a Dragon Ball theme park. It says here, this is from Culture Crave. A Dragon Ball theme park has been announced and will be constructed in Saudi Arabia. So this is like the overall look of the park. I mean, this is dope. Now, I'm not like a big Dragon Ball fan. I'm not really familiar with a lot of this stuff, like Capsule Corp and all that. But it looks pretty cool, man. Like I'm pretty impressed, right? I mean, this looks pretty cool. What are your thoughts on this, George?
It looks very aesthetically pleasing. I watched a little bit of Dragon Ball Z growing up. I was more into like the video games, like the combat games. I couldn't really follow the storyline too much as like the show, but I mean, I still collect the action figures, and I was somewhat of a fan, but it wasn't really like the hype that it was for me for like Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. These Middle Eastern parks, though, they spend a lot of money. Like, you go to like Dubai and stuff, and they got like crazy stuff over there. It's a lot of money around there. So it doesn't really surprise me, but this looks really, really cool. This would do actually probably very well in the United States. So again, Tomes, thank you so much for the question. And this is from our good friend, Mr. Matthew Murr. Who do you think Iger is truly bent on selecting as a successor? That's a tough one, man. Look, I mean, the current crop of internal candidates, I'm honestly not that impressed with. Obviously, I've been very critical about Josh D'Amaro, Daddy Josh. I don't think he's been great with the parks. We'll see how he does at the D23 convention, right? If he can deliver. Dana Walden, I think she's got the chops. I mean, she's capable, absolutely. But I'm not a big Kathleen Kennedy fan, and it's been rumored that she is a huge Kennedy fan. I think we need change at Lucasfilm. So with her, that kind of worries me. You got this Pitaro guy from ESPN. I don't know. I mean, does he have much experience though with outside of sports? That's what I'm kind of worried about with him. And then you got Bergman from the studio. So I don't know. It's a very lackluster kind of slate for me internally. Externally, though, it's a lot more exciting. We got Tom Staggs, Kevin Meyer. These are Disney alumni. I would like to bring either one or both on, whether it be for like a CEO and president position. That would be my ideal. But I want Disney to get a little creative with the CEO spot. I don't want them to go the kind of the bland, boring, typical route with this. I think Iger really needs to impress investors, impress fans, and really kind of swing for the fences in a lot of ways. You don't want to bring someone out there that's going to be like another JPEG. So, and that's the thing too. A lot of fans are like saying like, and even these investment firms, like ISS, like what's the plan for succession? And I understand that. I'm frustrated with the succession plan too. It's been very, very slow. But here's the thing. You don't want to just get you don't want to just have a person just to have a person either. Like you don't want to rush somebody out there like you did like a few years ago with Bob Chapek. You want to make sure the person that they choose is the right person this time. Disney can't afford more CEO drama. So if it takes a couple of years or a little bit of time to kind of work that out and vet it, then take your time and get a quality person. I don't like this idea of like, let's just rush to get this done. I don't care about getting an announcement done right away. I want to make sure it's the right announcement, that we can't mess up on this again, But what are your thoughts, George?
Honestly, after they made that little announcement of these are like the top four contenders for the position, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. It really did, because on the same note, and I'll stick by this, the whole reason why I'm against Peltz and Rizzullo coming in, as you said, it's like that knee-jerk reaction that it's like, okay, we just got to get somebody in to kind of fix these issues. And it's like, right, hurry up, let's get it done. I feel like they're not really taking the time to really go through to say, okay, who is really best to fit this position? Are they going to be perfect? No. Are they going to do stuff that we're all not going to agree with, just like with Iger? Absolutely. But you still need someone that would have the chops to handle a big worldwide company like Disney. And I feel like these 4 Island of Misfit toys aren't what's like cut out for it. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's like there's so many great potential. Not saying that they're not good at their jobs, but I don't think that any of them have the quality standards to be CEO. I'm sorry, they don't.
Yeah, if I was to pick any of them, if I had to pick internal, I'd probably go Dana Walden. If I just had to go internal, I'd probably pick her. But again, I'm not like, I've kind of lost a little bit of my enthusiasm for her.
Yeah. So that's why I say that. And as I said, that's just the type of person I am. If I'm not going to vote in Peltz and Rizzullo because I feel like that's a knee-jerk reaction that it's going to be detrimental to the company, I'm going to go the same route even for Disney. And I was thinking like the fact that Iger had to come back in to kind of fix the mess that he left and threw at the Chapek, why in the world would you then go and have history repeat itself with these 4 contenders that honestly, I'm sorry, they don't fit the bill. You need someone like a Tom Staggs. You need someone like a Kevin Meyer. Hell, you can get what's his name? The one from Pepsi. I keep on forgetting his name.
Oh, Hugh Johnston.
Hugh Johnston. You know, it's like someone like that, someone that can know the ins and outs. Like I would take. Geez, I keep hitting that bag. Hugh Johnston over any one of them, honestly. Yeah. And he just came into the company, but he has the credentials of how well he did for Pepsi.
Right. No, absolutely. You got to get someone exciting. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely don't want Josh D'Amaro. You know, we already had a parks person, and I know the parks fans are going to get real mad at me for saying this. Disney is a studio first. It's a studio first. As Roy Disney said, if you ever watched that documentary, Waking Sleeping Beauty, Roy Disney, the nephew, said Disney will the studio end of it will always be the heartbeat of the company. Okay, it was, is, and will always be the heartbeat of the Walt Disney Company. And traditionally, they've always had studio people running the Walt Disney Company. Okay, they had a park person technically with Bob Chapek this last time. It didn't work out. Why in the world would you do it? Would you put another park person in there? You need someone with studio chops. It's the studio side that's the changing landscape right now. It's the studio side that needs the attention. The park stuff is pretty stable for the most part. You know what I'm saying? It's a studio stuff that's going through that seismic shift with the streaming and all this other stuff. The theatrical stuff is waning. You have the linear TV stuff that's kind of dying on the vine. You need a studio person, and you're going to throw in Daddy Josh. It doesn't work. You have to get a studio person in there. I'm sorry.
And honestly, even if you know, Josh D'Amaro delivers a D23, which I think he will. I hope he will. You know, great. Kudos to him. You know, hopefully he continues that trend moving forward. But yeah, as you know, park people, you know, and I'm a park person, you know, I'm not going to, you know, lie. I heavily invest my time and energy into the parks when it comes to Disney. But even when he does deliver, that still doesn't give him the full-on credentials to actually run as CEO of the company.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. Lord Jonathan here says, will Communicore Hall and Plaza opening be the future home of Florida Blue? If so, could Marrakesh be reopened later this year? Epcot didn't feel the same without real culture from the Morocco Pavilion. I am very lost with this, George. I know you're more of an Epcot or a Florida guy. Can you make sense of what Lord Jonathan is asking here?
Yeah, so let's see. So the first part, will Communicore Hall and Plaza opening be future home of Florida Blue? That I'm not too familiar with that. But as far as like with I know the Morocco Pavilion has been going through a lot of transitional kind of periods, but I do hope the Moroccan Pavilion is like back up and running, because it does bring a lot of life into that pavilion. So I do hope sooner than later it will. Yeah.
And then Lord Jonathan here follows up with, should Disney World's fifth park be Beastly Kingdom after new info on the next ship will be heroes and villains themed? If so, I like to see Witches from Salem show on Hulu in that park soon. So Beastly Kingdom is actually supposed to be a land at Animal Kingdom, correct?
Correct.
That would be an interesting concept, right? To have a Beastly Kingdom fifth gate, but would it be different enough from Animal Kingdom that it would justify its own park, or should we just add Beastly Kingdom into Animal Kingdom? I kind of feel like it should just be part of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, me personally, I know people are going to disagree with me on this, but honestly, well, Disney World doesn't need a fifth park right now. Honestly, they need to do so much work on the 4 parks that they already have. It's not even funny. Like, they really need major expansion growth to all 4. Well, I couldn't even really say too much of Epcot, because Epcot just got the revamp. I would say even a couple more pavilions added to World Showcase, definitely. But Animal Kingdom, a lot of foot traffic in there. But, I mean, there's not enough to do. And when I say not enough to do, I don't necessarily mean e-ticket attractions. I do say put a couple e-ticket attractions in there, you know, here and there. But I think they just need something more to kind of fill in the day. And it's like there's not too much. Where I remember going into Animal Kingdom, and I was coming off of Flight of Passage, and there was a family in front of me. There was a husband and wife and their 2 little girls, and that was their last ride that they did. And they said, what are we going to do now? They said, where are more rides? And they said, we did them all. And they said, we did them all. It was already, it was only like 2:00,
Wow.
so it's like they need more stuff to do. So honestly, to then have to start over fresh with a whole new park when they still need to work on the 4.
It doesn't.
Will Disney World get a 5th park? Absolutely, but I don't think it's due for like another several decades, to be honest with you.
And my issue with a 5th park, and we're going to get to Lucas Kim's comment in just a second, but my issue with a 5th park is that people only have so much time to spend on vacation. So when you have you're going to have 3, kind of almost 4 parks with Universal, because if you count Volcano Bay, then you're going to have 5 Walt Disney World parks and 2 water parks at Disney. Like the average family is not going to be able to take like 3 weeks off of vacation from work to do all this. And there's the money end of it and all that too. So you get to a point where you're starting to really heavily cannibalize your own product. And I think a 5th park, what do you gain from that? Like, are you going to gain more hotel occupancy? And at what cost are you going to get that hotel occupancy? Because people might just say, okay, we'll do the new park, but we'll cut out Epcot or we'll cut out Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? So you're not really making any gains here. You're just taking one park away out of the equation and adding the new thing in. So I just don't know if Walt Disney World can sustain a 5th park. I don't even know if in a few decades it can sustain a 5th park. Disneyland Resort, I think, is much more primed for a 3rd gate, because it's much more realistic for a family to add one more park to that equation, 3 parks, than it is for a family to add a 5th park to Florida, to that equation. So yeah, I think Disneyland needs the 3rd gate more. And I think it makes more sense. There's more growth potential there in terms of like getting more people to stay on at those hotels, because it's more realistic. In Florida, you're going to heavily cannibalize your own product with 5 gates. There's just not enough time. People don't have that kind of PTO at work. You know what I'm saying? You got to be at Disney World for a month to get everything done. And then people still want to do the Universal stuff too. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of parks over there now as well. So it's interesting. Lucas Kim here with a $10 donation. Thank you so much, Lucas. We do appreciate you, sir. Restaurant Marrakesh is owned by a third-party person, and the contract was never renewed. It is still open, and no one has mentioned what's going to happen. Okay, thank you, Lucas, for clarifying that. So that was what Lord Jonathan was discussing earlier. Yeah. I did not know that. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Lucas. We appreciate that.
So I actually, off of Lord Jonathan and Lucas Kim, I actually have a question for the chat. Throw it in there. If by whatever means, like, they can't get the contract renewed, or another party doesn't come in, like, what do you see the future of Morocco? Do you see Morocco staying, or do you actually see possibly another pavilion being transformed? Maybe still keep like a Middle Eastern type of culture, but I mean, what do you see the future as Morocco? Comment in the chat.
Absolutely. Interesting question. That's a wrap. 818 is asking your thoughts on the monorail extending to new areas of the parking lots. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about Disneyland Resort. I am all about extending the monorail. I think that would be really cool. If we ever do get a 3rd gate, let's say in the Toy Story lot, I think a monorail going all the way over there would be really, really cool, extending that out. Yeah, I support it. I support it. There's been a lot of talk about how Disneyland Park, in order to expand or to kind of make better use of their land, they would have to kind of get rid of that spaghetti bowl monorail track that's over the Autopia and the motorboat area. If you cut all that out, you're shortening the monorail track, right? At least, right now. Well, what if you were to cut the spaghetti bowl out, expand all that property with theme park stuff, and then but you extend your monorail track to like your 3rd gate or whatever, like what That's a Wrap is saying, to other parking lots, then you kind of make up for that loss. I'm up for that. Absolutely.
I think honestly they should do that regardless. I think they should cut that spaghetti bowl out, because I think it's kind of detrimental and limit to the amount of land that they could still utilize, possibly for a revamp of Tomorrowland, maybe even a future expansion of Fantasyland. And I think with the growth from Disneyland forward, and the possible of a 3rd gate, I think they're going to kind of take the P's and Q's off of Walt Disney World, where for the longest time the monorail was used more so as an attraction. I think as the resort grows, the monorail will then be utilized more for transportation than just a ride around the park.
Well said. Absolutely. Matthew Murr, friend of the channel, all the way from the UK here. He says, do you think there should be an age limit on how old one should be to become CEO of Disney? No, I don't, because look, you can be older and be the perfect fit. So why are we gonna put that restriction on somebody? Like Bob Iger is in like his mid 70s. He doesn't seem like it. He seems like he's in his like mid 50s.
I will say though, they really should reconsider that notion of the people working in Washington. But just
I know. Yeah,
but no, I think but in all seriousness, I think age is just a number in a sense. I feel like that if you are still in good youth, that you can still able to perform your tasks in that job position. I don't see, nothing really. I do think after you hit a certain age limit, though, I do think that you're required that you should be able to have to do like a test sort of thing to see, like, along with your physical, to see how well that you can like run things, but.
And obviously, if there was competency issues there, cognitive issues with any kind of like Disney CEO, the board would get involved and probably vote out that person and put someone new in there. But it really is a case by case, because there's people that are in their 80s who are, super energetic and all there. And there's people in their 60s that are like, kind of not, right? So it just kind of depends. And if you put that age limit, then you're putting a cap on this, and you might be missing out on a perfect fit for the Walt Disney Company. I'm not even sure how old is that Hugh Johnston. I think he's up there too, I'm sure. Yeah. So I don't want to put a cap on there unnecessarily, So if the person is older, but they seem to have it all up here and they're the right fit for the company, by all means, let them run the company, Let me see here. Matthew Murr continues here with very important question. What would your advice be to new Disney fans who find themselves attacked by grifters for praising the company in any capacity?
Run.
Okay. Run. Yeah, exactly. I actually have a video for this, and we're gonna play it, and we'll talk about it on the other end, because this is my general thoughts on this topic.
How to deal with haters as a man. Guys, the more successful you become, the more people are going to dislike you. You're going to have haters. But I want you to remember this. Nobody doing better than you will ever care enough to hate on you. So every time you're getting hate, it's always from people doing worse than you. Always people doing worse than you have the biggest opinions, because they care too much about what you say and have the time to care too much about what you say, instead of focusing on learning on becoming the best version of themselves. All the guys I know who are millionaires, all the guys I know that are actually respected, don't have time to make videos hating on people. So if you're climbing up, if you're trying to level up and you're getting hate, just understand it's from bums. So you got to make sure you stay focused. Don't respond to them. Block them if anything. Focus on being a winner and focus on surrounding yourself with other winners.
Okay, so that's a content creator that I watch. He's actually fantastic. Fit FX Felix. He does a lot of like life advice kind of stuff, and he's really brilliant. But that's my overall philosophy, right? If people are hating on you, it's because either they're jealous or you make great points and they want to take you down or whatever. But it's always from a place of like, haters will always hate up, right? You're not going to see Michael Jordan on the internet talking shit to like random people on Twitter. Successful people don't do that. Okay. This is what losers do. They attack people on the personal attacks on the internet. Okay. That's what losers do. And when they go after somebody, they're acknowledging, if you have to bring someone down, you're acknowledging that person's above you, right? You got to.
So you're bringing them down to your level.
Yeah. You have to bring them down.
Trying.
Yes. Now I want to make it very clear. This is not, there's a difference between a hater and someone just hating and attacking you on a personal level, and someone who is critical. Like when I get comments on my YouTube channel and I get a comment like, hey, OG, you know what? This wasn't your best video. I think you could have done something different here, or you could have maybe done this better over here. That's constructive. And I appreciate that. And I welcome all those comments. You want to have that constructive feedback. There's a way to do it. But if you have someone in the comments that's just calling you names and vulgarities and just straight up insulting your character and this, that, and the other, no time for that. And like FitFX Fearless was saying, that's just someone who has no time on they have too much time on their hands, and they're not doing much with their life. You know, so that's kind of my take on it. So Matthew, to answer your question in short, if people are hating on you for your opinions about Disney, and people are personally attacking you over that stuff, just ignore it, dude. They're not worth your time. These are unhappy people. Forget about it.
I'm not what you call a Swiftie by all means, but in the words of Taylor Swift, shake it off.
Yeah, exactly. Just shake it off, man. You know, they're irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. You know, either they're just very unhappy with their own life, so they're going to lash out at you, or they're just whatever. It could be 1,001 reasons why they're hating on you on the internet. It doesn't really matter, dude. Keep being you. And keep showing your personality to the world. Let your light shine. Don't let anyone bring you down, or don't let anyone try to intimidate you to not have your opinion. You have a right to your opinion like anybody else, dude. So yeah, screw the haters. Here, you know what? One more time. Let's play it one more time for the people in the back.
How to deal with haters as a man. Guys, the more successful you become, the more people are going to dislike you. You're going to have haters. But I want you to remember this. Nobody doing better than you will ever care enough to hate on you. So every time you're getting hate, it's always from people doing worse than you. Always people doing worse than you have the biggest opinions because they care too much about what you say and have the time to care too much about what you say instead of focusing on learning on becoming the best version of themselves. All the guys I know who are millionaires, all the guys I know that are actually respected, don't have time to make videos hating on people. So if you're climbing up, if you're trying to level up and you're getting hate, just understand it's from bums. So you got to make sure you stay focused. Don't respond to them. Block them if anything. Focus on being a winner and focus on surrounding yourself with other winners.
There we go. You heard it. You heard it, Matthew. Hope that helps. Thank you so much for your question. BJ Vincent, so good to see you, brother. BJ Vincent here says, after watching the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97, I thought it was perfect nostalgia. While I was skeptical about the show, I really hope the other episodes and seasons stay at this quality. I've heard amazing things about X-Men 97. I personally have not been able to check it out. I know Josh over there at Den of Nerds has liked it. I've seen a lot of praise on Twitter, and a lot of fans are really digging it. I think it premiered with like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where it is now though, to be fair, but it premiered with 100%. I don't know, man. It looks dope, dude. The trailer looks like the trailer has that 90s feel to it. You know what I'm saying? They really stay true to the look and the energy of the original show. I don't know. Now, have you had a chance to check it out yet, George?
Not yet. I definitely want to. I keep on telling myself I have to, but like so much has caught my attention. But I am going to definitely check it out because ever since seeing the trailer, I was very excited about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it looks fantastic. I do want to check it out. I will be checking it out. And you know what? Okay, here's some advice for Warner Brothers. Okay, Warner Brothers, you've seen how much success Disney's having with X-Men 97. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and bring back Batman the animated series. I promise you, yes. You would make a mint. It would be just bags full of money. Go ahead and make Batman animated series and put it on HBO Max. It's a winning formula right there. Girly Nerd, friend of the channel, Girly Nerd, and she was actually on the channel the other day. We talked a lot about 90s live action Disney movies. Girly Nerd is amazing. We are going to have her on again very, very soon. Marianne, right? Marianne. So Marianne, thank you so much for the question. Here we go. Have you guys watched Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken or A Far Off Place yet? I'm going to be annoying and bug you until you do. I have not, but I will.
I have not either yet, so keep on bugging.
Keep on bugging, but we will watch it. We will absolutely watch it. And Marianne, we do apologize for mispronouncing your name the other day.
And what's actually really going to help me with remembering that, and now I just kind of hear the White Rabbit where he's like, Marianne. Right, to Alice.
Absolutely. And she follows up with another question. Okay.
And really quick, Chad, maybe you could all know, I'm a huge Disney trivia type of person. Does anyone know the correlation of like who Marianne is? Why is White Rabbit calling Alice Marianne? Like, I've never understood that. Does anybody know?
I don't know either. And there's a lot of things in that movie that I don't know because there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in Alice in Wonderland. And I think it's just the subject matter. It's just a weird story.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's Marianne? I don't know.
Is it Girly Nerd?
Yeah, there you go. There we go. There we go. And why is a raven like a writing desk? I don't know. She follows up with, which would you rather have back in Disneyland, the People Mover or the Skyway? 1000% the People Mover. Mm-hmm. I never liked the Skyway. They make me nervous. I don't like being on a little cord way up in the air like that. I get a little bit of anxiety with that kind of stuff. People Mover is... And plus, I think Disneyland needs the People Mover back. Skyway to me felt very carny, kind of cheap. You know what I'm saying? We don't need that. We don't need that. People Mover though would add a lot of kinetic energy to Tomorrowland. Much more needed. A beloved attraction. Let's go People Mover. But George, what do you think? People Mover or Skyway?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I have to say the People Mover. The Skyway, which... Don't get me wrong, the Skyliner at Walt Disney World is really cool. I do enjoy riding it, especially if you're staying at Pop Century, Art of Animation, the Riviera Resort, Caribbean Beach. It's on that path to utilize the Skyway, which gets you to your destinations much quicker. And it's a fun little nice ride. I enjoy it over the resort. As far as the Skyway in the parks themselves, yeah, not really too big of it reminds me like a fair, a carnival type of thing. Like it just doesn't fit Disneyland. And I would also love to see, because I know the platform was completely abandoned when they took the Skyway out, and I would absolutely love to see them kind of utilize that platform, because I think beyond that is the Fantasyland theater. So possibly maybe they could put something up there that could be adjacent to Fantasyland.
And here's the other thing too, I want to make it very clear. Like Walt Disney World has the Skyliner, and I'm not opposed to that. And the reason why I'm not opposed to that is because Walt Disney World is so vast. So when you're up high like that, the views are amazing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's not so beautiful though when you're in the middle of Anaheim. Yeah. A little bit of a different equation there, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, People Mover all the way. She follows up here with, what are your favorite music loops throughout the park? I think you can't go wrong with Main Street music, the Matterhorn polkas, and the Soaring Cue. All very good selections, girly nerd. For me, I love the Grizzly Peak area music. I actually I play that when I'm working. It's very relaxing. Beautiful score. I also love the Rocketeer sound, the score for the Rocketeer. I know we talked about this on the show that you were on, but sometimes they play that in Tomorrowland. I love that. Chef's kiss. But you mentioned A+ as well. But what do you think, George?
Yeah, definitely. I love the Main Street music. It's so catchy. I also love the music that they play out in the promenade area, where I think that's what you guys call it. Is that the term for it? The promenade, the in between the parks?
The Esplanade.
Esplanade, not promenade. Excuse me, Esplanade. Where they play because I just love it of how they incorporate even like a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Into that, they play a lot of classic music. It kind of hypes you up, like when you're right there at the center and you see like both parks in between you, and you like, do I go to Disneyland? Do I go to DCA? Like which way do I go? So I do love that. I do agree with you, OG. I love Grizzly Peak. It's actually one of my favorite locations outside of Cars Land in DCA. Yeah. I think Cars Land and Grizzly Peak are my Cars Land is like my excitement for DCA. Grizzly Peak is like my zen.
Yeah. And I got to say, though, for Avengers Campus, it's not my favorite score, but man, does that music get you hyped up. Like Avengers Campus sort of reminds me a little bit like when I go to Universal. And I like Universal for the same reason. Like when you go to Universal, they blast that music so loud. It's up to like, all the way up to like 9,000. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It gives you that like hype feel. I feel the same way with Avengers Campus. You walk in and they're playing the Avengers theme and it just gets you so hyped. So there's a lot of great music though around the park. There's so many to choose from. Speaking of Avengers Campus though, we got CSRS here. What would have Avengers Campus look like in Hollywoodland if the Eastern Gateway went through the first time? Part of me is skeptical that Avengers Campus was ever going to replace Hollywoodland, considering, hold on one sec, One sec. Considering the Hyperion is smack in the middle between Mission Breakout, Hollywoodland, and where Avengers Campus is now, plus back when they just put Frozen in there. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Hyperion, like for me personally, and a lot of people push back on me with this, I'm okay with losing the Hyperion. If we can get like a super well-themed immersive area, whatever it is, in that spot, I don't mind losing that theater. Now, I understand that's an unpopular opinion because it's a great venue for, the musicals and stage shows and what have you. But if we were to get a better Avengers Campus and we had to lose Hyperion, I probably would have been okay with that, So that's just my thing. But I don't know how much it would have looked much different. I don't even know if, to be honest with you, well, that would pose an interesting question, right? Because you already had Mission Breakout. I think that opened in 2017. Mm-hmm. So he makes a great point. If you would have had the Eastern Gateway, which would have been that whole area with monsters, PhilharMagic, and pushed out into the busload area, but then you have all that space in between that and Mission Breakout. What do you do? Do you just transform all of Hollywoodland, or?
I think the Hyperion would have been on the chopping block, because I think what essentially would have happened was it would have been like the letter T. So you basically would have had, well, they could have done one of two things. They could have either done where it cuts off at by Carthay Circle,
right,
and it segues into Avengers or Marvel. Or they could have kept that strip kind of like that Hollywood style. So, and then it crosses over from Mission Breakout across, take out the Hyperion, and then it moves further back into the back lot, and then expands back into the bus area. So there would have been your T shape. So they could either done one of two of those.
You could have done that, absolutely. You could have made your T shape, and then the main strip, the Hollywoodland strip, you could have made like a 1940s Hollywood with a little bit of like Captain America kind of tones in there. So it's Hollywood, but it kind of sets you up for the Marvel area that meets you at the end of the street. So interesting stuff, though, CSRS. Yeah, we don't know what would have happened. I don't think that's going to happen now with Hollywoodland. We're hearing rumors that maybe Avatar is going into Hollywoodland, and it would be around that area with the Eastern Gateway and the busload area. So we'll see how that pans out. Again, it's very much a big question mark. We just don't know. But CSRS continues. Let's say Avengers Campus did replace Hollywoodland in this alternate timeline. I like that. In this multiverse, CSRS. Yes. How much longer do you think they would have kept Bugs Land, and what could have replaced it? I think Bugs Land was going to go no matter what. I think that's kind of a dead. I think it's a dead IP. It's a dead end IP. I mean, it's cute, but there's not any. The movie isn't hot enough to add anything to it. So eventually, if Marvel didn't replace it, it would have been some other IP, because Disney's going to want a property in there that they can constantly invest in, not something that really isn't that hot. And what do you put in there? There's not a Bugs movie coming out anytime soon. I don't even think the first one did like super good. So.
See, I personally think it still would have been in there. I think more so because of the fact of it proclaimed for younger kids, and they had an area specifically for people to bring their younger kids and their families to DCA where they could have a location. Now, as far as me being an adult, I miss a Bugs Land, because I used to love walking through there. I didn't really do any of the rides. The only one I did was, Heimlich's Choo Choo Train.
Oh, dude. Yeah. But that was the GOAT. That was the GOAT.
But I actually wish they would have just kept Heimlich's. I would have rather move that into the Pixar Pier, to be honest with you. But
yeah, come on. That's a no-brainer. They should have done that. At least keep the Heimlich,
Yeah, because then you get a little taste of A Bug's Life. It's still part of Pixar. Right. But I do think in time, unfortunately, it would have become something else. What that something is, I don't know what it could have been. They may have expanded out maybe something else of Pixar. I'm not sure. But then again, that's why they have the pier. But I think it would have stayed a Bugs Land until they were really sure that they could have got a stronger IP to utilize that land if it wasn't going to become Avengers.
Yeah, I agree. I think eventually they would have swapped it out with some, CSRS says here, there have been rumors that Hollywood Studios will get some sort of expansion at D23. What IP do you think it could be? George, Hollywood Studios, there's rumors that that whole animation pavilion might go. I mean, a lot of rumors flying around.
That animation section honestly is a complete joke at this point. The only reason why I don't know if if that area is specifically going to get touched yet, because they are reopening the Little Mermaid after being closed down for 4 years. So I don't know if they're necessarily going to touch something in the area that they're just reopening something new, unless it's something that's just going to be there temporarily. We don't know. But that animation courtyard really can be revitalized into something more. But I have heard some rumors that Hollywood Studios might be getting some sort of expansion. I don't know, like the location. That's the part that I would pick. But IP.
It's a shame that they can't use Marvel, because I think Marvel would be perfect for Hollywood Studios.
That would be perfect. Yeah. Honestly, now I could be kind of in the minority here, but I keep on going back to the Disney villains, and I know that there was talks about possibly putting a villains land in Magic Kingdom. However, I think maybe if they utilize the villains for Hollywood Studios, it can kind of give them a little bit more play, so to speak, where they can kind of utilize the villains in a much darker tone, since Hollywood Studios is utilized more of like an older type theme park rather than Magic Kingdom, and they can kind of feed off of that heroes versus villains, sort of like what they did with they're doing with the newer ship that was just announced, the Disney Destiny.
Right.
Plus it will tie into, because Fantasmic is there also about the Disney villains. So honestly, I wouldn't mind the animation courtyard becoming something of the villains.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Really immersive. Now, I said before, if they're going to do a villain's land, it needs to be like Wizarding World, where it's almost like a twisted fantasy land, like this kind of gothic, darker version of a fantasy land. That's kind of the route you should go when it comes to a villain's land. But you can also take a different approach with a villain's land. It doesn't necessarily have to be the fairy tale villains, like we said on another show. You can even go villains where you kind of take the more Hollywood route. You know, if it's going to be Hollywood Studios, you can do a villain's land with, you know, well, I don't know. I guess they can't do Thanos, but theoretically you could do like a Thanos, a Darth Vader, you know, and maybe some of these Fox properties, you know what I'm saying, where it's like villains, but it's a little bit more like movie, not so much fairy tale, a little bit more studio based, you know, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. A different take kind of on that villain's land idea, more catered to, you know, Hollywood Studios. So I'd be open either way, you know, but we'll see. We're hearing big things are coming to Disney World, so it'll be interesting. At Universal Hollywood, the DreamWorks Theater was designed to be rotated out with different DreamWorks IP films. Yet it's been almost 6 years, and they have still not changed the film. Why do you think that is? And if they do ever change the film, what DreamWorks IP should be next to get an attraction in that venue? Could Shrek 5 be an option if it does well? I was actually going to say that. I think that's going to be the next one. I think, look, to answer your first question, why? I think because the Kung Fu Panda show in there right now works really well. It's a beautiful theater. It's a great show. It's one of my favorite things at Universal Hollywood. It really is. And well, what a glow up too, compared to what it was there before with the Shrek 4D and how hideous. Oh gosh. I mean, it was such an upgrade when they redid that theater, both aesthetically and just the show itself. So, yeah, I think that they kept it because the current show has been popular. But once Shrek 5 comes in, I think that movie has potential to be a big hit. That's probably going to be the movie that does it. That replaces Kung Fu Panda. What are your thoughts on this, George? And have you seen the Kung Fu Panda show over there?
I have. I have seen Kung Fu Panda. It's a cute little show. I actually enjoyed it. It did its job. You know, it's nothing like overly exciting, but it's something to definitely check out, especially if you're bringing young kids or your family. I mean, Kung Fu Panda is a very popular franchise to DreamWorks. It made a bang ton of money at the box office. Kung Fu Panda 4 was just released. But yeah, I think honestly, moving forward, if it was going to be another DreamWorks IP, it would probably be the ogre that started it all, so to speak, going back to its swamp roots to Shrek.
Yeah, and the thing too, like I remember being a kid and like when they announced DreamWorks, I had such high hopes for DreamWorks because it was like, okay, you had Jeffrey Katzenberg, David Geffen, Steven Spielberg. I mean, come on. I mean, these are huge names, and I'm like, this is going to be the studio that's going to rival Disney, and instead, I don't know, man. I was hoping for more like when they first came, when the studio first came online with like Prince of Egypt, I was super impressed. I love that movie. But then they kind of went this route for more like kiddie movies. And for me personally, it didn't really hit for me. I wish they would have kept going with that more Prince of Egypt route and kind of done like compete directly with Disney and kind of do those kind of movies. But I guess in this day and age, I guess that wouldn't have, I don't know. I mean,
which I have to say, the animation used in The Prince of Egypt was beautifully done. Oh, I mean, like that animation was so crisp. It actually gave off like the type of animation that was used for Beauty and the Beast. Yeah,
and that's what I wanted the studio to do more of. But instead, I feel like we got more of like an Illumination style studio.
Yeah,
kid movies, and I don't know. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with kid movies, but I think with animation, I just like to see more of these studios sort of make stuff for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like a Beauty and the Beast, movies like that, or even like an American Tale is awesome. That's an everyone movie.
Or even like with the Prince of Egypt, kind of gave off a little bit of like the same kind of vibes that the Hunchback of Notre Dame gave out. It had like a little bit of a darker tone.
Right.
To it had some comedy into it, but it was like basically where you could literally turn like a live action into an animated film, and that's basically what they did.
Yeah, no, 100%. Cliffix, friend of the channel. Make sure everybody at home, make sure you go to Cliffix on YouTube. He does phenomenal content. He's a friend of the channel. Go support him, subscribe to his channel, show him all the love. Thank you so much, Cliffix, for the $5 super chat. We do appreciate you, sir. He's asking here, any word on the new Fantasmic ending? We are getting closer, but no rumors yet. Yeah, that is a little weird, Cliffix. That is a little weird because I think the new ending premieres in May, if I'm not mistaken.
May 24th.
Gee, May 24th. So we're just a couple months out, and there's been nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not a peep. Now, from what I'm hearing, the dragon will return eventually. Murphy will come back, but not this time around. It's probably not going to be for another couple of years for Murphy to come back. In the meantime, we're going to have a new ending with, as Disney says, new magic. So, and that's what Cliffix is referring to. Like, what's this new ending going to be?
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think honestly they would just go the route. I don't know how Disneyland does their plan B if when their Murphy dragon maybe like wasn't working or the trapdoor didn't activate right away and they just couldn't get the dragon out in time. But with Walt Disney World, they're kind of like their B mode, so to speak, is when they bring Maleficent out, they keep her out, but they keep her at the top of the mountain. And they just utilize the same storyline and dialogue. But instead of Maleficent being the dragon, she just stays as the fairy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like that's the route that they'll go or if they'll take another like creative approach of something different. Me personally, I'm okay with if they just stuck with the B mode with Maleficent just staying on. What I would really love to see is them get rid of that janky ass new choreography that they gave Mickey and go back to the original choreography of the show. I'm sorry. I can't stand the new version of what they did. I'm sorry. And the fact that they bring Mickey out in his sorcerer's outfit before the finale is fucking sacrilege. I'm sorry. That's just
tell us how you really feel, George. Come on. You're holding back on us. You're being super shy. You know what I'm saying? You're being super shy. Okay, so let's again, Cliffix, thank you so much for the donation, brother. We do appreciate you so much. Absolutely. And make sure everyone go out and follow him on YouTube. CSRS here says, would the earliest we see DCA get its first expansion in the symbol lot be 2030 or would it be later than that? Oh, that's a tough one, man, because we don't really know. I'm hearing rumors that Avatar is going into DCA. That's the rumor, and I'm hearing it's going to go into the Hollywood backlot. because that's really the only way you can justify Avatar in that park is that, and it will probably be the area where Monsters is, where Hollywood and Dine was, and where PhilharMagic, and then going back into that bus load area, right? Because we're going to get all that area once they do that Eastern Gateway. So that will probably be the Avatar expansion for DCA. So I'm assuming that's going to be a priority, that and the Avengers e-ticket over by Mission Breakout. So you have Avengers e-ticket, we're assuming it's still happening. I'm hearing it's still happening. I'm hearing there's movement on that. And you're going to have Pandora over there, or an Avatar thing, whatever it is, in Hollywoodland.
It's just a thing, OG.
It's just a thing. The thing. So you have those two big projects. Well, so you're pushing it out at least another decade or so. I mean, it might even be beyond 2030 before they touch the symbol lot, to be honest with you. If they're going to do Avatar and Avengers e-ticket, it's probably going to be later than 2030. What do you think, George?
Yeah, because if they go the same route of how long it took for Pandora to end up in Animal Kingdom, they made the announcement for the first Avatar back in 2011, and it opened in 2017. So you're looking at about a 6-year kind of. Now, they already made the announcement for Avatar, but nothing has been no shovels have been turned, so to speak. So It usually probably would take about like 5 to 6 years total for the land, or the same equivalence for Tron, if you want to go that route. But so I think honestly, right after D23 in August, if they start the construction process, once they announce what this Avatar is and where it's going, you're probably looking at. I would say 2030 might be when actually Avatar would open.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you would then look at beyond 2030 for the symbol lot.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking at a while, an absolute while.
I would actually say 2035 for the symbol lot.
Yeah. And that's assuming that they just go DCA back to back.
That is true.
Which they probably
might touch the Stitch cast member parking lot for Disneyland.
Right. So if they're going to go back and forth, then you're looking even further out, And that's what we've been hearing. Disneyland Forward is a long game. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be this thing where it's like, it's going to get approved and then we're going to see stuff like immediately. Like, it's a long game, And it's good that it's long game. It's an investment for the future. If they don't, that's the thing with Disneyland Forward. Keep in mind, fans, if we want to keep the attractions we have now, things like Disneyland Forward are necessary, because if we don't get if they don't get the zoning to expand beyond where they are now, then Disney, the only way they can have new things is to bulldoze current stuff. And that becomes an issue, because do you want to lose the Tiki Room, or do you want to lose some of these things that we love? Because they have to give us new things somehow. So I'd rather them, hopefully they get this rezoning thing, which I'm sure they will. But that's the issue. So, and that's why it's such a long game. It's an investment towards the future. So they can actually do this stuff and not have to constantly cannibalize the current stuff, So we'll see. CSRS. Also, how much do you estimate the Pixar Place Hotel has left before it gets demoed for DCA expansion?
Tomorrow.
I wish. I know. I know. It's pretty ugly. I think it's better than it was before, though. I do think it's better than it was before. Actually, Ordinary Adventures, friend of the channel, we love them over there.
Yes,
they did a great video on this. I highly suggest you check it out. But I would guess, if I were to guess, I would say 15 years maybe, ish, 12 to 15 years. I think this retheme was a total Band-Aid just to buy them some time to get, look, anytime you add an IP, right, you're going to get an influx of occupancy, because now you got the IP, and the normies love the IP. You know what I'm saying? They're going to eat it up. So it's a short-term thing that they put on there. They needed to do it because it overlooks, Pixar Pier. It makes sense. But long-term, 15 years, 20 years from now, it's probably going to be gone. What do you think?
That was my guess. I was going to say about 20 years. So yeah, for your range, 15 to 20 years, I think would be more accurate. Probably maybe like 15 years to make the announcement, and then it will probably be completed within the next 5 years after that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I hope they get rid of it, and because I don't want to have an issue where if you're going to expand DCA into the symbol lot, you have that big hotel looming over that expansion. You know, for sightline reasons, I don't really want that.
Now, as far as like with the Disneyland Hotel, that's pretty much a safe bet that that's staying, especially since they just added the DVC tower, to that. I think if they didn't add the DVC tower, there's chances that they may have relocated the Disneyland Hotel. But who knows? You have to think this is going to be a 30-year project. You never know what Disney has up their sleeve that like whatever they get rezoned with, even though they just built it right now, in 20, 30 years, they may move it. You never know.
You never know. CSRS here says, if Zootopia was ever brought over to the domestic parks, do you think they would go for something different than a police chase? The first film came out in 2016, which was a different time than now. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I was even aside from like the police chase, like I was surprised, like the queue, was it the queue?
The queue.
You walk by like the cell blocks, like the jail cells and stuff. And then like, that's a little intense, like I wasn't expecting all that. Like I thought, okay, you're in the lobby of like the police headquarters. You got the big cheetah, the cute little cheetah and all that. And you go on this little ride, but I wasn't expecting all the jail cells. I'm like, I can't see them bringing that as is here to the States, and definitely not in California.
Not in Anaheim.
Yeah, I just can't see
but
it.
I will say, though, it will be kind of interesting to see the route, because we don't know what Zootopia 2 is going to be like.
Well, that's true.
So they may take their cues off of Zootopia 2, where it could be a whole completely different storyline, where obviously, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are still part of the police force, but they may incorporate depending on what that storyline is going to be.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the same stuff that we're like, the same situation with Avatar. Like, we don't really know like what the sequels are going to bring. So any kind of like Avatar land or even attraction that they put into DCA or Disneyland or wherever it goes, it's probably going to be based on those movies and not the older movie, especially Bob Iger. Bob Iger is going to want that synergy, that sweet, sweet synergy. So CSRS here says, if Zootopia was ever brought over,
that was it.
That's a repeat. Sorry.
There we go.
He continues. And we appreciate the passion, CSRS, and the enthusiasm. Yes. We love your questions. CSRS has been a fan of the channel for a long time, and he always brings the heat with the questions. Always great stuff. Is it possible that the Avengers e-ticket is being held up by the filming schedule for Avengers 5 Secret Wars? Based on the concept art, it looks like there will be live action parts, and maybe they want to film those parts alongside Avengers 5 Secret Wars when all the actors are together. It's a big possibility.
And before we answer this, I just have to say CSRS said maybe. Just saying.
Oh, he said maybe. Uh-oh, here we go. Maybe's in the chat. Maybe's in the chat. Okay, here we go for our friend Maybe. Let's go. 'Cause I'm that girl that drives you crazy, but you're killing me alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe. There it is. And actually here, for Maybe, I'm going to play a little clip here. I so appreciate this. There you go. A little Young Jin. You can't go wrong with Young Jin. But yeah, no, absolutely. I do think the filming schedule could be an absolute element into this equation with the attraction. But I'm hearing, though, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But I'm hearing this ride, this attraction is kind of further along than we might think. But we'll see. I don't know how true that is. That's what I'm hearing. But go ahead, George. I do apologize.
No, you're good, bro. It very well could be. I mean, they could be kind of stalling some time until they can kind of get some info of what's, going to be even like before Avengers 5, like what's going to be for Avengers 4. No one really knows like what's going on, because there was a lot of issues that it was going to be based off of the Kang dynasty, and a lot of things that went on with the actor that played Kang, and then taking him out of the equation, possibly recasting, and then taking the character out completely. And so that could then play a part of like maybe something like that could have been part of the attraction. So now they can't incorporate that into the attraction. So they have to kind of restart everything back up. It's hard to say. But just as OG said, we have heard that, this attraction may be moving a little bit faster than what we all know as the fans. But It's a possibility they may just be setting the groundwork for the actual attraction itself, but not really, know what's actually going to go physically in it.
And then we also are hearing, or firsthand, George, that they are replacing Chris Hemsworth as Thor with you. So that recast is,
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Our new Thor.
Yes, absolutely.
It was
I kept the scruff. I did my shirtless poses. They had to see if it would match up to Chris Hemsworth, almost by a smidge, but they said I'd do. So.
Perfect. He continues here. What do you think will come to DCA first, the Avengers ticket or Avatar Land? Avatar will require the Eastern Gateway to be built, so they rip out Hollywood and expand into the transportation hub. While Avengers, the space is already ready to go. Any word or rumblings on when they plan to break ground on the Eastern Gateway?
I think honestly the e-ticket's going to go first.
Yeah,
I think they're going to want something in there to kind of keep people occupied while they're kind of reworking for Avatar.
Yeah, I'm hearing rumblings, as CSRS calls it, rumblings. I'm hearing that the Avengers ticket is coming first. Yeah, which surprises me because that one was the can's been kicked down the road so many times, and the MCU is not like in a great spot right now, So it does surprise me, but yeah, I do think the Avengers ticket will come first. And we got another super chat from Cliffix. Cliffix, thank you so much, brother, for the $5 super chat. We do appreciate you, sir, as always. American Heartland breaks ground this year. Will this be legitimate theme park? Ex-Disney people are building it. Blue sky looks crazy. Yeah, I mean, from the artwork and stuff, it looks pretty dope. I think it'll be a quality park. I'll say that. Do I think it's gonna bring Universal or Disney to their knees, or do I think it's gonna do I think Universal or Disney are they gonna lose any sleep over this thing? I don't think so. I don't think so, because there's a lot of great parks around the country, like regional parks. Knott's is one of them. I heard Dollywood is another great regional park. Quality stuff, but yeah, but they don't really pose much threat to the Mouse House or Comcast Universal. So yes, I do think it will be a legitimate park. Absolutely, Cliffix. It will be a quality park. In terms of competition, though, for Disney and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to put a dent in their business. But I could be wrong. We'll see. It could be a sleeper hit, and it could do more than we think. But what do you think, George?
Yeah, I think it's going to be successful in its own right. I don't know if it'll hit those, as Kaylee calls it, those banger numbers up to the Disneyland par. But I mean, it would be definitely something I would, check out. I love Knott's Berry Farm. I definitely would eventually love to see Dollywood. Just get a kind of like a different aspect and a different kind of overview of these parks, even though they're not fully heavily themed, again, to Disney caliber, but just something different, a different atmosphere. And I think this kind of park kind of throws off Knott's Berry Farm, Dollywood kind of vibes for sure. Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit higher than that, maybe elevate a little bit more than that even. But I think it's gonna compete more in the regional market, absolutely, than on these other parks like Universal or Disney. And hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I still think it's gonna be a fantastic product, but it'll be interesting. And speaking of Kaylee's in the house.
Which, by the way, Kaylee, I did get your request. Emperor's New Groove is over. She had put in the request that I put on Lion King 1.5. So I will be doing that right now as we speak.
There we go. George does that. I'll go ahead and address your question, Kaylee. Kaylee with 2 E's, by the way. Do you think they will ever fix the Indiana Jones broken effects? Okay, Kaylee, I haven't been on Indiana Jones. When did I go on Indiana? Well, actually, it wasn't that long ago, just a couple of months ago, and everything was working for me. I thought Indiana Jones recently went through a big refurb a year ago and fixed all this stuff. So I'm not sure which effects you're referring to. Last time I was there, I think everything was working.
Was it the effects in the queue? As far as with the bamboo the road, you pull possibly. I don't know. Yeah, because as far as when I went on it in the ride itself, everything was working.
It was working. Yeah, it went through a huge refurb about a year ago, and really they cleaned everything up. Man, it looks really good. But unless there's new stuff that's broken since then, I'm not really sure. Kaylee here says thoughts on the ever so elusive bakery tour and the tortilla factory in DCA. What are your thoughts on that, George?
I think that, I mean, they definitely scream DCA 1.0.
Yeah.
It's very bountiful. I'll say that.
It is,
but
I mean, it grows on you. You know what I'm saying? It grows on you.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But I think they're cool. I mean, I don't know as far as like, I think it's kind of like a little bit like outdated in the notion. I think like maybe kind of like upgraded a little bit to, it could fit the DCA 2.0 and possibly the 3.0, because we all know that DCA is going to get a major kind of facelift, so.
Yeah, I like these little things in theme parks. I think they're kind of fun, but would I lose any sleep if they were to get rid of it? Probably not. Probably not. I would be okay with them. I mean, well, I take that back. Depending on what is replacing it, you know what I'm saying? But
true. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm torn though too, because I feel like small offerings like this, I don't know, like it's kind of nice to have like small.
It is. It does give a nice little touch.
Yeah. So great question though. Kaylee here says, if they do a South America section in Animal Kingdom, do you think they would add capybaras? Capybara. What do you think, George? Any capybaras?
Well, I think honestly of what they're considering on doing for the South America section, I don't know if they're actually going to have any like real life animal exhibits, but hey, you know what? You can't go wrong with capybaras. No. It's like they're so freaking adorable.
Look, if they do Indiana Jones over there, right? If they do Indiana Jones over there, you can have Indy. You're on a quest to find the golden capybara. There you go. There's your time.
There you go.
There. The golden capybara. Kaylee with 2 E's and a hibiscus flower says, if you had to play a character in the parks at your job, who would it be? George, who would it be?
Donald Duck. But the only problem is I am too tall for the costume. And I know that firsthand because I went through a little bit of a process.
Oh, you applied?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I am too tall for the costume.
Interesting. But why Donald? Is he just a favorite character?
I just think I think like to kind of like move with the motions, like the type of character that he is. He's so energetic. He has like, even though he has like that temper, but he has that kind of snappy wit personality that's just like so me, that I could kind of bring to the character. But as I said, you literally have to be fit to fit those costumes. They don't fit the costumes to you. So it's like
they're not tailor-made, huh?
No.
No, tailor-made.
It's basically you have to have the right height, the right weight, the right body shape. It's like,
and that Donald Duck one, man, it's like an extra medium. It's tough to get into that one. That's man. Yeah, no, I am actually claustrophobic, Kaylee. No secret. I mean, I always talk about that, but so I don't know if I'd want to have all that. Like, I would feel very uncomfortable. If I were to do anything. Well,
the thing also too with it, OG, that I also find out too is that a lot of times, because they have a lot of performers, coming in and going out, so they don't necessarily steam wash those costumes before the day is up. So basically, whoever was in the costume before your shift starts, you're getting into that same costume. Whatever, like the outcome is, like of how sweaty they are, how like it's like you're going into that thing no matter what.
You're getting all the cooties, huh? You're getting all the cooties. Yeah, I'd want to be a face character. I don't know which one. I mean, maybe something Star Wars. Yeah, that'd be kind of dope. But I don't want to be in one of those costumes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I don't want to catch any cooties.
Yeah.
Lucas Kim, thank you so much, Lucas Kim, for the very, very generous donation, sir. $10 super chat. We appreciate you so much, Lucas. Your opinion if Disney should reach out countries like Korea and Japan to do licensing collaboration for Disney, such as anime and K-drama to increase Disney Plus and Square Enix partnership for a future park. Yeah, I would actually. I'm actually, Lucas, I am a big K-pop person. So I am 1,000% on board. And I actually love your idea. 1,000%. Here, you know what? Here we go. Let's rock and roll.
I was gonna say, OG, show them like how big into K-pop you are.
Well, we got to play an easy drop. You know what I'm saying? We got to play the easy drop. But yeah, no, I would support this. Absolutely. I think that'd be really, really cool. And the Square Enix partnership would be dope because then you can do Kingdom Hearts.
Absolutely.
And I think that would be really, really interesting.
And there's a lot of chatter of them like talking about like adding more of Kingdom Hearts. I mean, even with the anticipation for Kingdom Hearts 4 that they dropped the kind of like the teaser trailer for it, a little bit of the gameplay. So it's still in progress of being developed. I can't wait to play it. I'm not a huge gamer, but I will make it my business to play the Kingdom Hearts series. I grew up with Kingdom Hearts all the way back since I was 11, 12 years old. And I still play it. I still love it. I love the storyline. I love the direction they're going with it. I love how they blend Disney with Square Enix's Final Fantasy worlds and characters. So to add those worlds into the theme parks, possibly move films or TV series for Disney Plus, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And actually, I Lucas, I made a comment. We talked, it was a few shows ago, where I think it'd be kind of cool to have a South Korean maybe pavilion like at Epcot or something. I don't know. I think that could work, you know? So there's a lot of potential there. Great question, Lucas. Great question. Let me see here. We got two more super chats. Mariana Barbara with a $2 super chat. Mariana, thank you so much for the donation. She says here, did you watch Quiet on the Set? If so, your thoughts. I did not watch it, but that whole situation is devastating. Absolutely heartbreaking stuff. It's really disgusting what occurred over there at Nickelodeon. I don't know. What are your thoughts, sir?
For me, I do want to watch it, not for this, because I'm just more so curious to know in detail of what's going on. And it's a very touchy subject matter, especially when it's dealing with underage actors, with minors, of what went on, because it proclaims to not just one child actor. There was many that were caught in this crossfire, and it's very it's disheartening. It's disgusting. Where
why is this guy in jail? Why isn't he in jail?
Yeah, I don't get it. And honestly, and I'm not blaming, because I don't know like what the situation is like behind the scenes and everything, but I will say out there that if you are a parent of a child actor, you need to be more involved into what your children are into, rather than just focus on the paychecks that they're bringing in.
Well, and you go in as a parent, you have this false sense of security. Oh, it's Nickelodeon, big studio, Hollywood studio. You know, my kid's safe. You know, you put your trust into these studios, and this stuff is happening. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It is,
and I will say this too. And I know a lot of people don't really want to touch upon this. This is kind of why we didn't do a video on this subject matter, because it's very touchy, and we don't know really all of the logistics behind this.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet either. But I do think a lot of people should really focus on this, because rather than worrying about some of the decision makings that's going on at Disney, there are even more worse things going on in other studios that need to be looked upon.
Yeah, that's a great point, George. Great point. Kiki and Luca here with a $5 donation. That's a wild thumbnail, by the way. I mean, a profile. Kiki and Luca. Wow.
Leave it to Kiki and Luca.
Yeah. Have you thought about learning survivalist techniques in case of a apocalyptic event? Interesting. You know what? Actually, I have not, but I do watch a lot of YouTubers that deal with survivalism, or whatever you want to call it. I watched this guy on YouTube, a fantastic content creator. He's called the Wooded Beardsman. Okay, great. Check him out on YouTube. And he does all these survival challenges where he goes out in the woods and he has to basically survive for like 2 weeks out there on just whatever he can catch. Okay, fantastic creator. So I've been watching him since 2018. I've learned a thing or two. You know what I'm saying? OG would survive. I'd probably last a good 2.5 weeks. You know,
I think. I think honestly, a lot of our like survival, like, I mean, yeah, you do have to learn some of them, but I think like in the case of a survival to go into survival mode, your
Right.
natural instincts kind of kick in where you kind of like you then start teaching yourself, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, if you have to how to hunt, how to fish, how to start a fire, how to, stay warm and what have you. It is very interesting, to say the least. And it's funny how even in today's time of how much we rely on our phones, all of us, myself included, we're constantly on our phones, on social media, on apps, on streaming. And it's just so funny that when you go back 20, 25 years or even 15 years, we never relied on our phone. So it's like you think of like, how the hell did we do it? But we did, we managed, it's like, but when it's given to you, in your to your fingertips, it's like you get so adapted to it.
Yeah, exactly. It would be scary. It'd be scary to have to live we take for granted our modern life. You know what I'm saying? We take for granted the fact that I can go on my phone and just DoorDash food, have it delivered to me. You know what I'm saying? And what would happen if Kiki and Luca was saying, where there was an event where we didn't have any of these modern, amenities, I just hope that whenever this apocalypse happens, I'm just with Yunjin from La Seraphim, and we'll get through it together. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely okay.
you could snuggle up, keep each other warm.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Luke,
really quick. I just have to. I'm sorry. I just have to say, honestly, in all seriousness, but thank you guys so much. Not even just for the super chats that you're sending. I mean, we're very humbled by it that you're on here contributing to the channel. But even if you don't give out a super chat, just the fact that you guys are on here, you're part of the channel, you're part of the team, you're part of the conversation. We love all you guys. We're so glad that you are taking the time out to come on to our live and have these discussions. So we love and appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah, no, 100%. Thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Because look, in our modern world, we were talking about our modern world, right? There's a lot of options when it comes to like content. I mean, there's 1,001 different things you could be watching, and you decide to spend your time with us, and that's humbling, and we do appreciate it. So thank you to everybody. Absolutely. Lucas Kim, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, sir. Should Disney work on a new Disney Quest style VR arcade experience in Wreck-It Ralph in Disney Springs to replace the NBA experience or other parks? That's interesting. See, and this is where I think VR or even AR could be very, very cool for Disney, especially when it comes to this particular franchise of Wreck-It Ralph. We talk a lot about, what should Disney do to respond to Mario? Now, Wreck-It Ralph isn't necessarily on the same level as Mario. Mario is a 40-plus-year-old franchise or whatever that's, decades old. Wreck-It Ralph isn't quite there. But, I mean, Disney has its own in-house video game IP. Utilize it. Why don't they build a Wreck-It Ralph AR attraction? You could have, that'd be fun. I don't know.
Yeah, now, I do know that there was actually, when they removed Stitch's Great Escape from Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland, there was supposed to be a Wreck-It Ralph kind of virtual reality, kind of Sugar Rush racing kind of simulation kind of ride that was supposed to go there, which obviously it didn't happen. The building is still vacant, which is a shame because they could definitely utilize that space for something. I just don't know what they're going to use. I think it would be really cool to even kind of still throw in a Wreck-It Ralph theme into the area for Disney Quest, possibly even do the black box kind of style. I think that would fit much better in a Disney Springs kind of environment, because then you would allow some entertainment to be put into Disney Springs, as we just did a recent Citrus Corner where we touched upon the new drone show that's coming to Disney Springs. So if you have the drone show plus a black box type of attraction in there, I think, those are some heavy hitters to get people to go into Disney Springs. Because as you said, OG, right now it's basically a shopping complex.
Right. It's a shopping complex. A good one. I will say it's a good one. I love that Paradiso
37.
That it's like a little Mexican restaurant / bar.
Yes.
I had way too many drinks there. George can attest to that. Way too many drinks, but we had a blast doing it. And our bartender, and actually, I know they're not technically Disney employees over there because it's a third party, but the staff, the bartender, and everything, super cool. I mean, they were amazing over there. But yeah, I mean, if you were to add that kind of stuff to Disney Springs, it would step it up a notch. But I will say, Disney Springs does have it is a shopping center, but they do have some pretty cool stuff, like the boathouse.
Yes,
the amphibicars.
The amphicars. The amphicars.
Yeah, like stuff like that is different. It sets it apart from like your local mall. So they're kind of there. It's better than downtown Disney. I'll say that.
Yes,
absolutely. All right, so we got. Hold on one sec, everybody. Let me just kind of get my bearings here. Okay, Mariana Barbara, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, Mariana. Thank you. The videos I've seen on YouTube calling George Lucas a sellout because he backs Bob Iger in the shareholder fight is pathetic. Okay, I say it as someone who used to watch their channels. Can't they make up their minds? That's the thing that bothers me, Mariana. That's the thing that bothers me. It's because if you're going to pick a narrative that, stick with it. They've been praising George Lucas all these years, and he's going to take on the Mouse House, this, that, and the other. Then he does something that you don't like, and now it's basically F George Lucas. It's like, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's really ridiculous. And there's all these conspiracy theories now around this where he was like, it's because his wife is on the board, with JP Morgan Chase and this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's unbelievable. I don't understand all this stuff. I really, really don't. Look, I make no bones about it. I don't love everything Bob Iger has done. Okay. I think he is flawed. Absolutely. I'm not all in on Bob Iger, but we have two things. We either choose Bob Iger on the current board or we let Peltz and Rizzullo on the board. Peltz and Rizzullo they have not impressed me. And I'm not just going to say, okay, well, bring them on. Just for change for the sake of change is not good. Okay. Good change is what we need. I think people are hungry for good change at Disney, but that doesn't mean we just accept anybody on the board because it's change. If Peltz circled himself with people like Tom Staggs, people like Kevin Meyer, what if he brought Michael Eisner, or someone like that, people that like, oh, okay, I would be 1000% behind Peltz. He surrounded himself with really bad candidates. Okay. Really bad. Rizzullo was not good for the parks when he ran them. He was not. Okay. I know there's a lot of revisionist history. Fans hated Rizzullo when he was running the parks. And Perlmutter was not good at Marvel. I'm sorry. He just wasn't. He didn't want to make Black Panther, and that was one of their biggest, most successful movies. Peltz has picked the wrong people to get in bed with. That's it. If he picked better people, I would be open to supporting him because I do think that change is good. I do think pushback is good, but this option isn't it? And I think George Lucas is kind of seeing it from the same perspective where it's like, yeah, Iger's not perfect. I know George Lucas has criticisms on how Disney has handled Star Wars, but he's looking at the same two options that we're looking at. It's either Bob Iger on the board or Peltz and Perlmutter and Rizzullo. And he's going, hey, Iger is probably the better of the two. And that's just as simple as it is. What do you think, George?
I absolutely, everything you just said, times it by two, because I think it's so funny how people say, George Lucas is a cinematic genius. And it's like, let him do his work. He has great craft. It's like, this is his baby, yada, yada. And then it's like, he backs up something that you don't agree with, which is fine. You can disagree, but you can't use statements to then say it's like George Lucas is a sellout. George Lucas is being abused. And it's like, come on. It's like everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And if it's an opinion that doesn't agree with you, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a conspiracy theory behind it.
Exactly. Look, I was disappointed that ISS, that investment firm, recommended Peltz Peltz, not Rizzullo, but he recommended Peltz because their concern is the succession at Disney. Okay, and that's fair. And I think ISS has a good point. I think they have a valid point when it comes to succession. But I'm not going to sit here and do like this whole thing where it's like, oh, but why? Why are they supporting Peltz? Let's figure this all out. Where's the money going? This, that, and the other. It's like, no, they saw, for them, they want Peltz, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just take it for what it is, and it's just like all these conspiracy theories and stuff. It just gets kind of kooky out. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but to each their own. And we got the one, the only, maybe with 2 E's, for working harder than the Marines. George deserves a milkshake or 2. George, maybe his milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. All the boys are right, George?
I maybe when I saw your comment, I have I had a joke to the milkshakes, but I'll leave it at that.
Hey, George, go for it, buddy. Go for it. Take the shot. Take the shot.
Well, I think honestly with milkshakes, you definitely have it right with everything comes good in 2s. I will say that.
Yep, absolutely. George makes it look easy. There we go. Thank you so much, maybe. Thank you so much. Lucas Kim with a $5 donation. Korean Pavilion barbecue buffet as table signature dining and street food as quick service. Soju flavors. Samsung Experience venue. Would you go? Oh
yeah.
you had me at the Korean barbecue, like out the gate, and then you're talking street food and soju. Lucas, come on, I'm there. I am so there.
Yeah, I'm right there too. Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, there's no way I would not be there. That's amazing. Absolutely incredible. And I'm telling you, that would be very popular. That's why I'm saying if Epcot were to do a South Korean pavilion, you could do that. You can have, like you said, the Samsung Experience. Maybe you can even have a little area for maybe the Korean pop stuff. Very popular right now with K-pop. Even like Lucas was talking about earlier with the K-dramas. Those are also very popular. There's a lot there culturally in South Korea that you can do that I think would be so big. And you could even have maybe a stage and have big K-pop groups perform at the South Korean pavilion. And then, that would be huge. There's so much potential there, Lucas. Absolutely. Disney, if you're watching this or anybody from Disney watching this, do it. You'll make a ton of money. Believe me, a ton of money. BJ, and again, thank you so much, Lucas. We do appreciate you. BJ Vincent, there has been talk among Disney fans that Redwood Creek Challenge Trail is currently closed for refurbishment at DCA, and they should remove it from Mystic Manor. I think I know what you're talking about. Was it Attractions 360 who made that tweet?
That was Attractions 360.
And I agree with them on that. I think that would be really, really cool. But BJ continues here. While I have heard this idea come up a few times, and I think that it is because it makes a lot of sense. A version of Mystic Manor at the former Redwood Creek Challenge, I think that'd be very cool. He goes on to say, especially if they make it different enough from Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, somewhat like the Winchester Mystery House. Your thoughts? Yes. On board. You do the Winchester Mystery House. You use the ride system that they use for Mystic Manor. I'm on board with it.
And honestly, in that location, it would still work out well for when they do Oogie Boogie Bash, because that's the location that they do Villains Grove. So if you kind of have that Mystic Manor, you could still kind of tie it into that spooky, creepy kind of trail that they could do on top of having the ride open. And also too, there's a lot of talk of if Encanto goes into the Dino Land area, that there would be a kind of an Omni Mover type of ride. I do think that if they do Encanto, they should do it like a Mystic Manor style attraction. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, 100%. And DCA needs those kind of rides. They need that really impressive, really immersive sort of everyone can ride it kind of attraction. So yeah, I'm on board. Kiki and Luca with the amazing profile picture. Which team do you have winning the NCAA tournament? How is your bracket? Are you following women's and Caitlin Clark? Kiki and Luca.
This is right up your alley, OG.
I have no idea about any of that stuff. I don't watch any sports, Kiki and Luca. I don't watch any sports. I'm just a nerd. I really am. What do you think, George? What about Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, she really knows how to work her game. I have no idea.
Oh, you're like me. You don't watch.
I know like some sports, but I'm only into the sports that it like proclaims to me. Like I just won't watch it just for the sake of watching it. So yeah.
So the ones that proclaim to you, so anything like Pittsburgh or something like that is what you're saying, like your local stuff.
Like the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
Like that, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Kiki and Luca here. Did you know there is a July 22nd Orange County Register article talking about a third park being opened at the Toy Story lot? Then the food just said, sorry for mispronouncing that, farm, partially opened in 2003 and done by 2010. I did see that. And from what I understand, it was supposed to be a water park. And there's going to be a people mover attached to that whole thing, which is awesome. I don't like the idea of a water park, though. I never have. We're tight on space here in Anaheim. You got 75 acres. You can build a DCA-sized park. That's your best bet. The water parks, also, we've seen even in Florida, Disney doesn't even keep both of them open at the same time. So is the demand even there with these parks anymore? I don't know. I don't know. I would build a traditional theme park. I wouldn't go the water park route.
I think, honestly, if it was a water park, it would be popular up front because it's something new. It's something different. But I think the leg life on a water park is not going to be the same effect as a theme park.
Yeah. You said leg work. Was that a mermaid joke, George?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, here we go. And we got Kiki. We got Cliffix here with a $5 donation. Cliffix, thank you so much, sir. If Disney brought back Tony Baxter and redesigned Imagination at Epcot, the lines would go to the parking lot. Wouldn't this be the easiest home run? It absolutely.
People went nuts for the freaking Figment popcorn bucket. Those lines went like 6 hours, like just to get a. Can you imagine getting a revamped Imagination Pavilion with a whole different vision of Figment, and to actually bring Tony Baxter, the Imagineer, who actually created the original with the Dreamfinder and everything? Holy crap!
It's a no-brainer. So you know what that means? They're not going to do it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wish they would. That would be awesome. That would absolutely be awesome. And look, there's actually a lot of positive kind of buzz around Imagineering right now, Cliffix. We got Bruce Vaughn back. We're hearing a lot of heavy stuff that Rhodey is back, and it's internally, but it hasn't been announced publicly yet. But it kind of points in that direction, though. He's going to be at D23. We got all these projects that kind of pertain to him with Avatar and Animal Kingdom stuff. So if we get Joe Rhodey back and we can bring Tony Baxter back, it would be another golden era of Imagineering.
Yes.
It'd be fantastic. Again, Cliffix, thank you so much for the super. Kiki and Luca, if you would do it all over again, would you have chosen a different major and/or different career? No, not really. I'm content. I'm content. I wouldn't have changed that. My only thing though, Kiki and Luca, not with career wise, but up until all the way through high school, I was way more shy. And I had the biggest crush on this girl, Genevieve, all through my high school years. Genevieve, she was Latina. She was like Latina and Chinese mix. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Gorgeous. Didn't say a word to her all 4 years. All 4, never said a word to her. Now that stuff like that, I wish I wasn't as shy in high school. You know what I'm saying? I wish I would have came out of my shell a little bit more. But in terms of career wise, nah.
I was actually kind of the same way, believe it or not. I was more growing up as an introvert than what you see now. Go figure, people. Like, how do you like that? It's like,
it wasn't until I hit 18 and I started my first job and stuff, and I had a great group of friends on my first job that I really came out of my shell. But my high school years, I was kind of shy.
Yeah, I have to say it was after high school, that's kind of when I still had my group of friends. I still had a great personality and everything, but it was I was never very outwardly spoken like how I am now. If I was in high school and someone told me to do this, go on YouTube and do a podcast, I'd be like, oh my gosh, no way. There's just no way.
Now, career paths, would you still be an exotic dancer, George, or no?
Oh, I definitely would have kept that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just want to make sure. No, but career path, what would you?
As far as career path, I still kind of have in the back of my mind that I could still utilize my degrees. I have a bachelor degree in fine arts, which is creative writing in entertainment, which in time I still would love to dabble in that. I have been writing some things, so you just, I never know. So I kind of keep that door kind of cracked open. But as far as like what I'm doing now, it allows me to be flexible, to be able to do all these trips and traveling and everything. It doesn't take up a lot of my time, where I could still make decent money, but still be flexible to do other stuff. So for that point, I would say I'd stick where I'm at for right now.
Yeah, and at your night job, you're very flexible, right, George?
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't want to spread rumors. That's not. It's a joke. It is a joke. Yes. Lucas Kim, again, thank you so much.
Unless you really want that, I mean, give me a call. You never know. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Hey, he's open to it. Lucas, again, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Do you think Disney should open a loyalty commission rights negotiation with Universal in regards to the Mississippi agreement for future projects? Now, Lucas, great question. This is actually, for those of you at home that are not familiar, this is the Marvel situation. So
yes,
Universal has the Marvel theme park rights, was it east of the Mississippi?
Correct.
So they can use Marvel, but Disney can't in Florida, right? Well, certain characters they can, like Guardians and stuff they can. It's a weird kind of situation, but...
And really quick before you continue, hold your thought. And it was even a big backlash when they had the Avengers on the monorail. And they were just on the monorail for transportation. But because it passed through Epcot, it was actually the monorail going through a theme park. And they went ballistic because they felt like Disney was like going against the claim of like having the Avengers
the contract.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, here's the thing, Lucas. I think it's beneficial for both companies to work it out, because I don't think a lot of people say, like, why would Universal give up the Marvel rights? Here's my thing. From what I understand from the contract, Universal, they would have to get permission from Disney to add anything new, like a new attraction. They'd have to get permission from Disney. Okay, Disney's not going to give them permission to make a new Marvel ride. So what the Superhero Island is now is all it will ever be. They can never expand it. And they can paint it, they can freshen it up, they can refurb it, but they can't add anything to it. So from Universal's perspective, and Universal is stepping up their game, and they have a lot of great in-house stuff, or they're building it. It's not quite there, to be honest, but they're building their in-house library, and they have a lot of great outside stuff like Potter and Mario now, Nintendo. I think it's in Universal's best interest to get rid of Superhero Island, give Disney their Marvel rights, and you can make Pokemon there, or you can do some other Nintendo thing or some other property, a franchise that you can actually grow and build upon. Marvel is a dead end at Universal. Disney's going to never give them any kind of leeway with that. So, why even have it there? I understand people like Spider-Man, but you can have any other IP replace that one and still be an impressive attraction. You could use the same ride system and have it be something else. I think the Universal in Japan is actually doing that with Pokemon. I think they're utilizing their Spider-Man tech for the Pokemon ride. So that's the route I would go. I think it benefits Disney, obviously, so they can get their Marvel stuff at Florida. But it also benefits Universal a whole lot. Universal, their hands are tied with this, and it's a dead end land. Unless they do something else with it. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like right now, both companies are kind of landlocked in that sense, because Universal has the rights to Marvel, but they can't update anything because Disney owns, as far as like the rights, like internally within the company, but then Disney can't utilize those characters that they want to use east of the Mississippi because, again, Universal still owns the rights to go into the theme park. So it's like they really should sit down and kind of have a compromised meeting of like, how can both companies benefit something? And honestly, I think for Universal to relinquish the rights fully to Disney, it then allows Disney to utilize them into the parks, and it allows to give land free up for Universal to put something else in there that could be much stronger and more beneficial for them.
Absolutely.
We have a Hulk.
There we go. That's what Disney could say. If they get those rights, they could say,
we have a Hulk.
There we go. There we go. Kiki and Luca, which D23 passes are you getting? Are you also doing a hangout at D23? Yeah, we are doing a hangout at D23. George, I actually Venmo'd George. He's our ticket guy. He's gonna do the tickets for us or for our little group. But so George, he's more of like the D23 expert here with all this stuff. So George, I will let you take it away, sir.
Absolutely. So yes, the types of passes we are getting. I don't know if you are all familiar with the term poor man's chili. We are going to get the poor man's seating. So it's like we're the type. I'm not saying that we're cheap. I mean, we could definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not paying $2,500 to sit in front and see the glare off of Josh D'Amaro's face. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. But we could have picked anything. But I did talk to OG. I did talk to also friends and collaborators of the channel, Mr. Michael Ebba and Slimer, kind of like, where we're at as far as like seating goes. And we all came to like an agreement for the notion that we're just going to do the farthest back, even though it is far back, but, they're going to have a big jumbotron screen and everything, and it's more so just being there in the environment and hearing the announcements and seeing everything going on. It's not something that we would pay over the top to kind of sit in the front. That's something that, and for the folks that are into that, that's perfectly fine. But for us, we're good just being there, hanging out, being there together as a group and what have you. So we're going to get the lowest tier as far as like for the seating goes, but we will be there at the Anaheim Convention Center and the Honda Center for the D23 event. And also, as OG had said, we are definitely still doing a D23 hangout for the very first ever Orange Grove 55 meetup, which is going to be in downtown Disney. We kind of have a date possibly locked in. It's not fully confirmed yet, but definitely keep an eye out on the channel for a video that we will be announcing the further details. So definitely check that out. It will be coming out soon.
Yeah, 100%. And Trip Johnson, always good to see you, Trip. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, gang, is there any unbuilt attraction that you were glad was unbuilt?
Yes.
Oh, what is it, George? What is
Mine
it?
is those Mary Poppins teacups.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. There's so much that they could have done artistically with Mary Poppins. I love the whole notion of Cherry Tree Lane. Right. I love that that probably would have been my favorite part. And I know that they were going to have like a type of attraction and everything. I would have been personally fine with like a double-decker carousel that it starts out as a carousel, but then removes itself and kind of does like a horse race, kind of like it did in the classic 1964 movie, and then returns back as a carousel. To me, that is very creative. Right. That is like, it's like taking a carousel but going like to a whole new level. The thing with the teacups is it's already done before. It's like if you want to have a C or a D attraction, but do something, I don't know, just don't do the teacups, because the teacups for me is like classic Disney that proclaims to Alice in Wonderland. It's like I don't need two variations of the same ride. It's like those god awful spinner rides. It's like we got so many of them. I'm just so sick and tired of them. I have no problem with the C or D attraction, but get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, I don't really have one like attraction wise, but I am glad there was some concept art for the entrance for our Tomorrowland that came out right before the Pandy. I don't know if you remember that, but
I do. Yeah,
it was kind of a mess. It was like kind of like this mid-century design mixed in with what we have now. It didn't really mesh well at all. They never did it. I don't think they're ever going to do it. At least it won't look like that, because it's been 4 or 5 years now. We still haven't gotten it. Yeah. I'm glad that wasn't built.
Yeah, but Trip, I will say, an unbuilt attraction / project that I wish would have been was Mount Fiji in Epcot. I would have loved to have seen a Mount Fiji.
Was that going to be a thing?
That was going to be a thing. They actually had concept art that, like in the very beginning stages of Epcot, that they were going to have Mount Fiji, and it was going to be like a roller coaster type attraction. And they also were thinking of doing kind of like an East Coast variation of the Matterhorn bobsled, not exactly like the Matterhorn, at Disneyland, but because they were going to add Switzerland possibly into there. So they were going to have the Swiss Alps. Again, just like the Matterhorn, but it wasn't going to be the Matterhorn. But then they kind of dropped that and they kind of went the Expedition Everest route for Animal Kingdom.
Interesting. Lucas Kim with $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Lucas. What's your view on the Acolyte now having 400,000 dislikes within less than 5 days since the launch of the trailer? Likes were almost the same range. So it's like 50-50. Now, here's the thing. I got to be honest. And I was out there. I was actually talking to Den of Nerds on Twitter. And I made a tweet to him right before the trailer dropped. I think like the day before. And I said, let's have an open mind because I think this trailer might surprise people. Because this show has gotten a lot of negative press leading up to this. I'm like, you know what? Let's have an open mind. It might really impress us. I think it's going to surprise us. I watched the trailer and I was incredibly disappointed because, especially because when I watched the House of Dragon trailer recently, that's the kind of tone and the vibe I want to get for a show like this about Sith, that dark, kind of vibe. I didn't get that. They showed a bunch of Jedi. It was just, I want to say, like, I don't know. It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't fall in love with the trailer. And it looked a little bit, in my opinion, kind of low budget. It looked like the Book of Boba Fett a little bit. I don't know, man. I wasn't impressed. But in terms of your question, Lucas, though, in terms of the likes and dislikes, that's just because of Star Wars. Yeah. So people, there's these campaigns because it's Star Wars, or people think it's woke, or this, that, and the other, to like go in there and dislike it. I don't pay any attention to that nonsense because that's people just actively just trying to get the number down. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's not an organic thing at all. It means next to nothing. So I would ignore that. But the trailer, to be honest, I wasn't impressed with the trailer. What do you think, George? I
wasn't either. It kind of reminded me like of a novice college film school trailer, honestly, to be honest with you. And it I think because I had the hype that when I saw the Acolyte poster of how it resembled a
like
Sith,
blood,
a Sith, oh my gosh,
lightsaber.
God. A Sith lightsaber, but it was like in blood form. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that. It kind of gave like a dark feel to it. It was like, okay, we're going into a new direction. The trailer gave me none of those vibes.
That's the thing. Yeah, and the show might be really cool. I'm still gonna watch it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have an open mind. Absolutely. I'm not gonna be like closed minded. Like some people are like, just no, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. But I just wasn't impressed by the trailer. And we'll see. Maybe they'll release another trailer that hits a little bit harder. But man, like the House of the Dragon trailers is like exactly what I wanted though from like the Acolyte, and I just didn't get it. Unfortunately, we'll see though. We'll see how it is. It could be a fantastic show, and it might be. You never know. Troop Johnson, and this is more your question, George, because I've never actually seen this show before, this movie. Do you think Disney should replace the movie in the China Pavilion for a ride due to the unpopularity of the Chinese government?
So they are kind of a little bit on thin ice with that because, because of like the high tensions with other, countries in particular, with the Chinese government, what have you. I think it would be best in Disney's best interest to possibly do something where it still represents the Chinese culture, still pays like respect, to them. But I think honestly that they should kind of get away from like the actual aspects of like what like these kind of shows, kind of like incorporate something a little bit more family oriented. That again, I know a lot of people are so sick and tired of hearing about IP, but I think honestly again with tensions right now, I think that it would be in Disney's best interest to do something a little bit more family oriented, I'll say.
That's fair. Kiki and Luca, which trailer are you most excited for? The Acolyte, Alien, House of the Dragon. There's a bunch of trailers that dropped this week. Which one was the best? Okay, so I didn't see the Alien trailer, but I don't have very much interest in that franchise, to be completely honest. I'm gonna have to go Hot D.
Hot D.
I'm going hot D. I'm gonna go with House of the Dragon. Actually, we did a great show the other day with Tones and Jay Shear and X-Rod on the Bad Thought Studio channel. Check that out. We did a whole like reaction and review of the House of the Dragon trailers, and yeah, it was a good time. But I really liked those trailers. I thought they were really well done. I love the show. I fell in love with this show. I am super excited for it. Just a couple months and we get to check it out. But absolutely, House of the Dragon. There's really for me, those three, there's no comparison. It's easy.
It's easy.
Oh gosh, yeah. it is easy peasy lemon squeeze. There you go. George, out of those three, did you see him or no?
I did see the Acolyte, and again, like I was not impressed with that. I would say out of the other two, I did see. I would go more for Alien. I find that actually more interesting. Actually, and the other one, which is actually not part of this, but it's actually a movie that will be coming out soon, is actually a little bit of the teaser trailer for Beetlejuice 2.
Oh yeah.
Which again, I love that film. It's a cult classic. The fact that Michael Keaton is reprising his role as Beetlejuice is phenomenal. The young actress Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega looks
perfect
phenomenal.
casting.
Oh my gosh, like she is perfect. This is actually a film that I probably would pay to go see in theaters.
Yeah. Oh, I would agree. I'm excited for this one. Beetlejuice. Yeah, I think the casting with Ortega was perfect. You couldn't have picked a perfect person for this role. She fits it just amazingly. So yeah, it looks like a cute movie. It does. Absolutely. I think it's gonna be a hit for Warner Brothers. I really do. I was actually a fan of the movie when it came out originally. That's how old I am. And even the animated show in the 90s.
I remember that. Yes.
That was a good show, man. That was a really, really good show. It was on Fox Kids. Amazing. Brandon Bushnell, Mr. Bushnell, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. If Disneyland never put the rocket rods on the People Mover track, do you think the People Mover would still be operating today? Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Florida still has theirs.
Yeah.
I think we'd still have it. If it wasn't for the rocket rods, we'd still have it.
Absolutely. And that was like a really bad decision on Disney's part to even consider turning that into. And I know that they had an idea, but I mean, like, how far do they really think that thing was going to take them? I mean, I would have just kept it just as the People Mover and just let it be that.
The problem with the rocket rods is that they didn't bank the turns. And I've had this conversation back in the day, dude. Like I told you, I've been in this community a long time. Back in the day, and like all the forums, this was like the talk of that era. What didn't work with the rocket rods? They didn't bank the turns. So when you have a roller coaster, the turns are banked, so you can keep the momentum going. Mm-hmm. The thing with this is that the turns weren't banked, so every time there was a turn, it had to slow down. Mm-hmm. So just when it started to get thrilling, it had to slow down to do the turn, and then it would speed up again and then slow down. It was just too start and stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's too start and stop. And plus, I heard it was really, really expensive to maintain because of the tires. They'd wear out fast. It was an interesting idea, but it was just executed very poorly, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the capacity was like terrible. It was like the lines for that thing were so bad. 4 and 5 hour waits and everything for that thing because the capacity was just in the toilet. Mr. Bushnell, given the large foot traffic in Tomorrowland, do you ever see Disney prioritizing a Tomorrowland retheme? Here's why I don't think they're going to prioritize it, and here's why I think it's taking forever for them to do anything with it. Because for the most part, the individual attractions in Tomorrowland are still very popular. Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blasters, very popular. Space Mountain, very popular. Star Tours, very popular. Submarine Nemo, very popular. Autopia, popular. There's nothing to incentivize Disney. Really, the problem with Tomorrowland is the aesthetics. It doesn't have a cohesive sort of aesthetic to it. You know what I'm saying? But it's very cosmetic. The problem with Tomorrowland, very cosmetic. I understand Launch Bay is sitting there empty, and that's a huge problem. But for the most part, it's a cosmetic issue, and that's why I don't think Disney's in any rush to address it. People are still like you said, large foot traffic in Tomorrowland. There's no motivation for them to even touch it. I think they will eventually, but it's probably going to be a little while. George, Tomorrowland, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, I think in time they will, but it's definitely not on their priority list. They got so much, I think, on their plate already that they have big goals and directions that they're moving forward with. And again, I think as much as Tomorrowland needs a major facelift, it's still doing the job for them by getting people into the land, going onto the rides and attractions and what have you. So I think not right now. I think once they get more stuff into the parks, part of the Disneyland Forward, then that would give them enough to kind of flesh out the day. So if they do happen to shut down Tomorrowland, those attractions could be then replaced with the newer stuff for the time being until it reopens.
Yep. Well said. Googam 32. Do you think Marvel and Star Wars fans would hate the current Marvel and Star Wars stuff if Universal made it the exact same way Disney did? Here is the thing. I think anyone who makes Star Wars stuff is going to be the bad guy. They're going to be the bad guy. George Lucas was the bad guy. The dude who this is his creation, and he was villainized. He was demonized because of the prequels and the special editions, and this is his creation. If they're going to hate George Lucas, oh, come on. Universal doesn't stand a chance. None of these companies do. It doesn't matter if it's Disney, Universal, Paramount, doesn't matter. If George Lucas took it back over, it would still have the hate. So I think it's just a franchise that it's a very passionate fan base, which is good, but sometimes the passion gets the best of fans with it. And I don't think there's any entity that can run this thing that's going to make much of a difference. Marvel's a little different. The Marvel fans aren't as choosy about stuff. I think that Universal could probably do pretty well with Marvel, and I think they can probably avoid a lot of the complaints. I mean, Disney avoided a lot of MCU complaints up until recently. I mean, everyone loved the Marvel movies up until like the past few years. So that's possible. But Star Wars, I don't know, man. Star Wars has a long history of the fans just not liking whatever is produced.
Yeah, they're brutal. They're brutal, unfortunately, when it comes to content and criticism towards the franchise. I don't know, even you said it, OG. It's like they went after the creator. It's like, how can you say what's good or bad to the creator when he's the one that created it? It's like without him, you wouldn't even have this stuff to criticize with, So it's like, yeah, Marvel, I can kind of see where they may lean more towards Universal because of the approach that Universal already took to Marvel. They went more towards the comic book style of it, which, again, I think if Disney kind of now progresses through moving forward with Marvel, like with Avengers Campus and possibly the new e-ticket attraction. And then again, if Disney can get those rights to be able to utilize it into the parks at Walt Disney World, it's possible they may beat that. But as of right now, of where it stands, Universal is kind of top dog when it comes to utilizing the Marvel brand in the theme parks. But again, they can't do anything more with it. It just stands as is. But I do love that comic book style version of Marvel. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's an interesting direction. Absolutely. Very classical Marvel. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The girly nerd, Marianne. Thank you so much for joining again. She's saying here, thanks for the shout out, gentlemen. Can't wait to come back on again soon. Yes, and we can't wait to have you back on again. We loved talking 90s Disney with you. We'll have you on again very, very soon. A very, very good time.
Absolutely.
Very, very good time. Lucas Kim here is saying that the reason why the MCU is being trash talked is because it's currently a popular trend, and it's also from Disney. But people forget that Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Venom 1 and 2 were trash. That's a great point, Lucas. And we talk about this a lot on the channel. It is fashionable. It is in vogue to shit on Disney. It is. Now, that doesn't mean, and this is where people start like to twist and manipulate what I'm saying. That doesn't mean Disney doesn't make mistakes. They do. And the MCU has issues. It does. But I think people overdo the Disney hate thing because it's the trendy thing. It's fashionable to get on Twitter and be like Disney this, Disney that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it perpetuates a lot of this stuff way beyond what they actually deserve. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that it is trendy. And you're right, Lucas. There are Venom 1 and 2 were trash, and there's others. You know, there's other studios that like Sony that have not made good Marvel movies, and even prior to Disney owning Marvel, there were bad Marvel movies. So it's just the culture right now. You know, people just you get clicks, you get views if you make a video or you make a tweet about how bad Disney is or how bad Marvel is or Star Wars. It's just it gets you the eyeballs, and it gets you the eyeballs though because Disney's very relevant. So when people say, well, Disney's no longer relevant, no one cares. Well, that's phony baloney, because there's entire channels that are built on, you know, this stuff about criticizing Disney. Well, those channels wouldn't, and those channels are very successful, a huge following, massive following. Those channels would not have the viewership if no one cared about Disney. Go ahead and make a video about Felix the Cat and see how many views you get. You want to talk irrelevant? That's irrelevant. When you're actually irrelevant, that's irrelevant. People love Disney, and it's very relevant. And that's why if you make negative Disney news and content, it does so well. What do you think, George?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you know people just kind of tend to like follow the way of like the lay of the land, so to speak. It's like when one does it, another one does it. It's just like a continuing domino effect, if you will. And it's like sometimes you have to just kind of like break away from that. And I think a lot of times, and a lot of people were even talking, I think someone wrote it either on Twitter or in one of the comments or something. I forget where it was, who it was or what it was, but like where it was located. But it was to the notion of, it's like, I think it was on Twitter. Actually, I think it might have been Girly Nerd, but where she brought up like a Toy Story, or someone brought up Toy Story, where it was like, even like to a lot of the computer animation style of how it looked much different from the first Toy Story to the fourth Toy Story, but at the same time we all knew those characters, so to speak. So it's like if you give like a good product out, it's like, but people again, they'll still shit on those notions of, it's like no matter what you do, it's like, well, but you got to go by the story, you got to go by the characters. It's like one of those things. And even to the video that you posted earlier, it's like no matter what, people are going to be hating, no matter what. It's like no matter what you do, it is. And honestly, I really hate to say it, hating is trending. It really is. It's like when you see one people do it, it's like a lot of people just kind of like connect on that, and it's like a revolving train. It
drives engagement. It drives engagement and negativity. This isn't necessarily a new thing. Negativity has always sold. Your nightly news is negative for a reason. They're not reporting that the local fire department saved the kitty from the tree. No. That's not sexy news. That's not going to give you the eyeballs. It's the negative news that gets you the eyeballs. So this has always been a thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's still a thing. It's a different world we live in now, where we have like YouTube and social media and all this TikTok and all that stuff. But it's still the same premise of like negativity will get you the eyeballs, and people have,
And even before social media came out, even like with top hit magazines. People magazine, I hate to even say it, National Enquirer, like all those kind of things. Like people didn't grab magazines to see how good somebody was doing. They grabbed it when there was drama or someone was like in rehab or what have you. People would buy those magazines because why? It had something bad about it, had something negative. And it's like social media just became a digital format of like paper magazines.
Yeah, no, 100%. I want to bring this up. Maybe brings up a great point. And actually, I did see this tweet today. Maybe I'm going to try to see if I can bring it up, because I think Josh, I'm a huge fan of Josh, actually. If you guys don't watch Den of Nerds, I'm telling you, you should be, because he does a great content. He doesn't do any park stuff. So if you're looking for park stuff, he's not your guy. But he does a ton of nerdy stuff like Marvel and Star Wars and all that good stuff. But this is, I think this is the tweet you're talking about. And I actually wanted to do a video on this, and maybe we'll do a full video, but we'll touch upon it now. So Josh here says, here are some ways to tell if a content creator is actually authentic and trustworthy. Ask yourself, when is the last time said content creator did these? Okay. Number one, surprised you with an opinion. So if you have a content creator who's predictable, where new Disney thing, that sucks, and it's very, very routine, okay, he's saying that's probably not the most authentic. But if they surprise you with your opinion, where it's like, it's a movie maybe that you weren't expecting that creator to like, and they came out and said, wow, I really liked it, he's saying that shows authenticity. And I would agree. Number two, admitting when they are wrong. This is a big one. Admitting when you're wrong. You know, you have to look, if we make a lot of predictions and we have a lot of speculation here on the channel, and we're wrong. And that's okay. I just yesterday, I said this in the video with about Animal Kingdom. We love speculating. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. It's part of the game. It's part of the speculating. You're going to be wrong sometimes. But if you can't admit that you were wrong, if you can't admit that, hey, you know what? I thought this was going to be this, and it turned out to be that, I was wrong. You're lacking authenticity. I agree with Josh on that one. Number three, formed community around love of an in-group, not hate of an out-group. Now, what he means by this, because he clarifies down below, your kind of niche, your community, or your community is based on like-minded people who love something, right? So for OG55, we love Disney parks, right? It's this thing that we all have in common. We love Disney parks, okay? As opposed to we hate Paramount, and we're going to have a whole community of people that we're all here together because we hate Paramount, okay? So that's what he's saying, that when you have a community formed around something that you all love, it's typically more authentic than when you have a community that's formed around just on hating something. And then number four, the last one, talking to people with different opinions, but not to mock them. So you bring people on your channel that you disagree with, you have a civil debate, and you're not mocking them. You're giving them a platform to address their opinion and their viewpoint, but it's not a mocking. We're not laughing at them or anything like that. Same with Twitter, engaging with people that have a different opinion with you, okay? In a civil way, not mocking, not trolling, harassing, in a civil way. So those are the 4 points. George, what do you think? I mean, do you think he makes a pretty good point here with this stuff?
Absolutely, because I mean, these points, are, kind of showcased throughout social media and on YouTube platforms and what have you. And it does make a logical point that when, they kind of do this or lack thereof, it definitely kind of showcases their personality. It showcases their character. That are they really in it, just for the sake of having a decent civilized conversation or even a healthy debate, or is it just the notion of, oh, it has to be my way or the highway. I always have to be right. You're always wrong. And I am the dominant male wolf pack factor, or what have you. It's like, and you see this a lot in a lot of content creators and a lot of social medias. And of course, they'll deny it because are they actually going to admit it? No, because that's one of the things they can't admit when they're wrong. So it's like, it just keeps on going in a circle.
You got to be able to admit when you're wrong. You got to be able to admit when you're wrong, and it adds credibility and credence to when you're right. You know what I'm saying? That you're able to admit that you're wrong. If you dance around it and you're Weasley about it, it just, I don't know. Yeah. Another thing too is like with the monetization. I can tell you right now, if this channel ever gets demonetized, the show goes on. Okay. Mm-hmm. We will make as much content, whether we're making money on it or not, because you know why? We love doing it. We love it. We love talking about this stuff. I don't care if there's zero monetization on this channel. George and I will still be up here all the freaking time talking about this stuff.
Yes.
But when you have content creators who, if they get demonetized and they just halt the content, that's in my opinion, that says a lot, because it shows you that they're in it for the money and not so much, the love of the content of the subject matter. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't cost anything. Like, for example, like if I want to do a video just myself, it costs me nothing to sit there and hit record and do a video. It doesn't cost me anything. So I can make that whether I make AdSense or whether I don't. So why wouldn't I if I love doing this? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I get it. If you're paying, but here's the thing though, I will say this. If you're paying people, like if you have a crew that you're paying and you bring those, that gets a little more complicated, because if you have them on, you have to pay them. And if you're not making money, that's a different story. But if you're a solo person, it doesn't cost you anything to make the content, whether you're monetized or not. Go ahead, George.
Exactly. And, it definitely, again, it showcases like, what is your overall agenda? It's like, do you really enjoy what you're doing, or are you basically just doing this for clickbait, just for the sake of the almighty dollar? So it's like, where does your priorities kind of like rely to in that sense? Although I will say, for all of you who have been contributing to the super chats, we do thank you. And as I said, with all that, the next time OG and I go to the Kerner, we will be getting all white meat and the biscuits. Just saying.
And the biscuits. You're so funny, George. You're so funny. Mr. Seymour Duck, a contributor here on the channel, Mr. Seymour Duck. They do take some risks, but on a smaller scale for general entertainment. Poor Things was very risky. They need to push on the Disney side. So Seymour's talking about a conversation we were having earlier about Disney and Disney live action needing to, we were talking about how it needs to get a little riskier, kind of take the foot off the gas with all these, remakes and stuff. So he's talking on the general entertainment side, they do. Like maybe he's talking more like the Hulu side, things like that. So Poor Things, I didn't see Poor Things yet. I'm curious about it. Our friend Jay Shear did, but have you seen this yet, George?
Not yet. No, I have not. But I have heard a lot of positive feedback on it. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, so from King Vegeta, Mattel CEO Jan Kreis for Disney CEO succession. Okay, I've heard this rumor. I don't know much about. I got to look into the CEO of Mattel. I've heard he's decent. I just need to research him a little bit more, but that would be interesting. See, I want to see something like that. I want to see them look outside. I would prefer an outside candidate, something like that, something kind of different, exciting. I do not want to see the kind of the bland, what is it like internal stuff like Daddy Josh. Please Bob Iger and the board, please do not do that. Get someone exciting in there that's going to energize this company, energize the cast members, and energize the investors again. But what do you think, George?
Absolutely. I think honestly it helped when they brought Iger and Wells on. They both were, one was from Paramount, one was from Warner Brothers. It's like they weren't fully internally in the company at the time when they kind of did that dual role. And as I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think to run a company like Disney, I think they are much stronger by having a equal dual partnership in the CEO position. It worked for Eisner and Wells, and it worked for the founder himself, Walt Disney, and his brother Roy. It's like, why not stick with what that would actually work?
Right, 100%. Luke,
and really quick, sorry, bro. I did notice in the chat that there was a little bit of chatter about, like, you guys were mentioning, like, your top 3 Pixar films and what have you. So I'm going to throw this into the chat. I'll keep an eye on it. If you can name my top 5 Pixar films, they don't have to be in order. I will send out a $10 Starbucks gift card to the winner. And I will say it is not proclaiming to any of the Toy Story films, because those I feel like are in a different category. So it's not any of the Toy Story movies, and it's my top 5 Pixar.
Oh, top 5.
Top 5 Pixar.
Let's do top 3, because that might be a little hard to get all 5. There's a lot of movies.
Should I do 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Yeah, we'll do top 3. And in no particular order. If you can guess the 3 movies.
Yeah, no particular order.
Yeah, perfect. Lucas Kim, thank you so much again for the generous donation, sir. We do appreciate you, Lucas. He says here, I don't know if people care about anime, but Disney Plus, not Hulu, is supposedly getting almost entire Macross series, not Robotech, in case if anyone is excited. I'm not familiar with that, but anime is huge right now, and that's very, very smart for Disney to tap into that. So that's actually really good news. Really, really good news. And Mr. Theme Park Casual is in the chat. Casual, thank you so much for joining us. He says here, hey, kids. What's going on, Casual? Googamp. Oh, and by the way, I do want to say Casual has a YouTube channel. He does live streaming, a lot of live streaming from the Disney parks. Check him out. He streams all the time. George, what do you say? Like probably 3 or 4 days a week?
He's out there. Yeah, he's out there in the field.
He's in the field. He's in the field, bro, for sure. And he does it for a long, like he's there all day a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? And hanging out with him is cool. So make sure you check him out on YouTube. He also does a lot of Knott's Berry Farm. If you're like a California local, you'll know what that is. A lot of Knott's Berry Farm live shows and stuff like that. So make sure you check him out. We were in his chat yesterday, and he was giving us a lot of love. So we appreciate that, Casual. Thank you so much, sir. Googamp32. What streamer do you think will exit the streaming war first? Personally, I see Paramount Plus being shut down first, followed by Peacock. The interesting thing about this is there's rumors, actually, that those are going to merge. So maybe that's the play. Maybe they don't shut down. Maybe they just merge with each other. What do you think?
Okay, that's 3 maybes, bro. You have to.
Oh, you're right. That's 3 maybes. Here we go. Maybe.
Cause I'm that girl that drive you crazy, but you're killing me alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe.
Shout out to Baby.
Yes. And
Right
really quick, Googamp just notified me Lion King 1.5 is over. They're putting in a request for the Marvels. So I will take that request, and the Marvels is coming up.
There we go. All right. And we got a super chat from the one and only Mr. C. Moore Duck. $2 for Felix the Cat, my favorite cartoon cat. That's awesome, Seymour. And thank you so much for the $2 super chat, sir. Yeah, Felix the Cat is actually a great character. I wasn't honestly, I wasn't trying to disrespect Mr. Cat or anything like that, but he isn't exactly the most relevant right now in pop culture, so that's a very irrelevant sort of character. Although I do agree with you, he's a fantastic character, really, really cool. And actually there's a store at Universal City Walk that has kind of like trendy Universal stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have some really cool Felix the Cat merch over there. Yeah. I didn't even know Felix was connected to Universal. Maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it's in one of those Universal stores.
Really quick, Theme Park Horizons. You actually are. You were actually the closest. Because I've seen that you got like 2 out of the 3, and then you swapped it and you still had 2 out of the 3. So actually, believe it or not, you're kind of the closest.
You're getting there. But Mr. Duck, thank you so much.
Yes,
and
thank you.
And Seymour, we did a fantastic video with Seymour the other day about this Peltz and Michael Eisner, George Lucas stuff. Check that video out. And also the annual shareholder meeting is coming up. Hype City, hype. Seymour Duck will be joining us absolutely for any coverage of that we're going to do. And that's coming up very soon. So,
and really quick, bro, maybe is saying her favorite drop is the guilty from Family Guy. So I think you might have to.
I can accommodate that. Okay, her favorite is guilty. Okay, here we go.
Guilty.
That's why I love the Family Guy stuff, because it's so they linger for like an uncomfortable amount of time on stuff. It's just hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Late Night with Cap is in the house. Mr. JT Gunn, thank you so much, sir, for the $1 super chat. We actually did a video recently with JT Gunn. When was that? Maybe 2 weeks ago with JT. Week and a half, something like it. Yeah, pretty recently.
Weeks. Yeah.
Check that video out. We talk all about the parks, and make sure you check him out on YouTube. He does great stuff talking about like Bigfoot, things like that. Really interesting content. Check him out on YouTube. Give him a subscribe. Show him all the love. He's also on Twitter.
Sorry. Okay, I got to stop it. Theme Park Horizons, you actually got it. And actually, I'm actually very impressed because not only did you get my top 3, but you actually got it in order. Coco, Ratatouille, and Up. Those are my 3. So what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to throw in something else because not only did you get my top 3, but you actually got it in order. So I'm going to give you a $10 Starbucks gift card, and then I also have a Mickey Mouse. It's kind of like a metal type of ornament that says, I believe it says like Dream, Wish, Believe on it. So
cool.
I'll throw that in there for you.
Horizons, do you follow myself or George on Twitter? If you do, DM us your information so we can send that out to you. If you don't, let us know. I can send you I can give you my email and you can send it to us via email. Okay. So he does follow us on Twitter. Yeah. Perfect. So send either a DM to myself or the Italiano and we'll get that out to you right away. And again, big shout out to Late Night with Cap. He is awesome. JT Gunn in the house. Let's see here. Oh, and you know what? Hey, look, you know what? Since Theme Park Horizons got a little moolah, we got to drop a little money drop. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Oh man, I lost my spot. I don't know where we were. Okay, hold on. Give me a second, guys and gals. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh.
I just have to say, honestly, this live, this chat, everything, it's been like fire tonight.
Yeah.
Again,
been fun.
we very much appreciate it. You know, we love doing this. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do these lives without you guys, you know, being part of the chat. So, I mean, you guys actually encourage us to want to do more chats because we just love interacting with all of you. And this is why we actually want to do an Orange Grove meetup for anyone that is in the Anaheim area, that's going to Disneyland, that's going to D23. Please, as I said, once we get that info out to you, don't be shy. Stop by, say hello. We love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely check it. We're going to hang out, you know, have a few drinks, chill, whatever. It's going to be a really good time. Azel here. Azel? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. I do apologize. What is your favorite car? What's your favorite car, George? What are you feeling, bro?
Ooh,
Lambo?
Car. I have either like a Lamborghini or a Corvette.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Talk about a freaking Cali car, and I'm not even from Cali. It's like
a Corvette is like so like 80s California.
Yeah,
driving down Ventura Boulevard in your Corvette, you know. Dang, I don't really have. I don't know. All I can think about in my head is
another one too. Because my dad was also into cars. I also love a good Mustang.
A Mustang, okay.
Yeah,
interesting. I don't even know, man. I keep hearing that song in my head. Woke up in a new Bugatti. Maybe a Bugatti. Yeah, I do that one, you know. There we go, a Bugatti. Okay, hold on. Bugatti. Now we're gonna close it out pretty soon. We're hitting almost the 3-hour mark, but let me just find my spot here. Oh man, I totally lost my spot.
Yeah, because I was down at the bottom. I was watching the. Yeah, we'll start there.
Yeah, there we go. Let me see. Camelio Mentri Patile. Oh man, I'm telling you, some of these names, I feel so bad mispronouncing, but I'm so sorry. I can't pronounce that. I do apologize. Hey, is there a chance there will be an anime-like attraction or small resort anime themed here in Orlando? I mean, I'm getting a lot of comments about anime. I think that Disney might have to tap into that, you know, because I think that there's a market there, and you can do it with Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
You know,
I think if they kind of tap into how they could best utilize it for streaming and on Disney Plus, I think then they can kind of move it into the theme parks. I think they should start that route first before just jumping into the theme park space.
Yep. No, absolutely. And Cliffix, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Should Disney bring back John Lasseter? Can they even do that? Well, I think they can. I mean, isn't he working for Skydance right now? So it's like, I mean, look, I said it before. I do believe in second chances. If he did the work and he's, you know, whatever issues he had, with women before and all that stuff. If he's a changed man, and we haven't heard anything, to be honest, Cliffix, from his role at Skydance. I haven't heard anything publicly like he's, harassing anybody or anything over there. So if he is a changed man and people in the studio feel comfortable around him, I don't see why not. Like I said, he's at Skydance, so he's working in an animation house right now, and it seems to be working out. It doesn't seem like there's any issues. I don't know. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to Lasseter coming back. Again, I don't know like fully the logistics of like fully what went on. Yeah. I'm not saying the accusations were, false or misrepresented, or if they're true. I mean, it's a horrible situation no matter which way you turn it. But I mean, absolutely. If it's where it's not as difficult to bring him back, I would say, I mean, Disney had let go of Lasseter before and he came back in a big way, so yeah. I mean, only time will tell. I just think it just depends on how bad the situation is of really like what went down.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if he has proven if he's proven to have not had any issues with the current studio he's in, I don't see why not. And like I said, I do believe in second chances. If he acknowledged what he did before was wrong, and he's a changed man, and now he's working at Skydance, and things are fine over there, and people feel comfortable around him, I see no issue with that. So I don't know. That's kind of why I stand with it. Yeah. Will they do it? Probably not. Probably. Yeah. Not. But you never know. I mean, weirder thing. I mean, hey, I didn't think they were going to bring Bob Iger back a year and a half ago. So, who knows? Matthew Moore, all the way from the UK, gives us €2. Thank you so much, Matthew. We do appreciate you. Brilliant Q&A as always. Thank you, Matthew. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matthew's a friend of the channel. We love Matthew. Really family of the channel. He's been around with us for a really, really long time, and we appreciate you, Matthew. Thank you, sir. So I think we're going to close it out because we are hitting pretty lengthy now. Theme Park Horizons, make sure that you let either George or myself know about your information so we can send you the gift out as soon as possible. And this was an amazing Q&A. George, we have got to do more live shows.
We do. Yeah, if you guys, I mean, as I said, this was phenomenal. If you guys want more live shows, hey, we'll be that genie in the bottle. Your wish is our command. We will give
genie in the bottle.
We will give you those live shows. As I said, we love the conversation. We love the questions. All around, as I said, we had a lot of banger shows, but I think honestly, this one has been the bangest one. If that's
the bangest one,
the bangest one.
Now I got to ask you before we go, George. Speaking of genie in the bottle,
yes,
you remember that show, I Dream of Jeannie? Absolutely. Okay, what do you think about
yes.
When I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, she's a hottie. What do you think? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's I always find those like older, kind of sophisticated golden age Hollywood actresses. I'm a huge fan of. I know a lot of people love Marilyn Monroe, which don't get me wrong, I do love Marilyn Monroe, but I'm a Grace Kelly kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
I love me some Grace Kelly.
There you go. You heard it here first. OG exclusive. George loves Grace Kelly. But I want to thank everybody in the chat today. Lucas Kim, Maybe, Cliffix, Matthew Murr, Theme Park Horizon, Cliffix, Late Night with Cap, JT. Let me see. Googam 32, Starship, James Younger, Undead Nerd, Azella, Rogue Attraction, Florentine, just everybody. There's so many, but we appreciate everybody today. It was an amazing show, and I do appreciate anytime anyone hangs out with us. It's humbling because like I said earlier on the show, it's you guys and gals have a lot of options when it comes to like what you can watch in this new age, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, YouTube, a million different things. And for you to spend time here with us at all, any given amount of time, is truly an honor. And we do appreciate it 1,000%.
Absolutely. And really quick, we actually got another one from another donation from Cliffix.
Oh, okay.
Definitely he says more live shows. You guys rock. Well, thank you so much, Cliffix.
We'll do more. We'll absolutely do more live shows. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna close out this episode of go ahead.
Sorry. And really quick, I also love the interaction because again, I was trying to figure out like what I wanted like my backdrop to kind of be, and I love like playing like movies in the background where it's just like. I love how you guys kind of like love seeing that in the back. So I love even the notion that you guys have requests. So like as like the shows are going on, definitely if you have a request, it may not be like the first one, but I will get to it, throw them in there. And it's like, if you have a request, I'll definitely play it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll do another live show very, very soon. Hope everyone has an amazing rest of the weekend. Thank you for watching OG55 Live.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.